Welcome to Strixhaven University, the greatest repository of magical knowledge in the multiverse. The Founder Dragons formed this institution to explore the duality of the natural world. Strixhaven students choose one of 5 colleges to direct their study. The eloquent orators of Silverquill research linguistic magic, while the creative mages of Prismari breathe beauty into their works of art. Witherbloom's necromancers harness the power of life and death. And Lorehold's archaeomancers uncover mysteries and bring history to life. Last but not least, the numeromancers of Quandrix combine magic and math to calculate the infinite. However, something is dangerously wrong on Arcavios. The normally docile Archaics have begun rampaging. Students must journey off campus to unravel the mystery of what has enraged these ancient forces of nature. The 5 schools will need to band together like never before to face their greatest test yet.
Hi! Could you at least hear that? The thing? I had the mute still on because I had been prepping. Could you hear I think you could hear the game sound, so that was pretty good. Alright. Didn't have that on mute. Alright, so let's exit this because I don't know for how long I'll be able to talk still. Barely? What is it? No, that should be okay. It's at the normal settings, so it should be okay. Barely heard the game sounds. That would be more likely. But they should be in your stuffs as well, in theory. Okay, so Ancestral Angle is a... Hello, cat. Yes, hi. Is it a floof? Yep. He's petting my elbow. Hi. Alright, Ancestral Angle, so that was a Crimson Vow, or Midnight Hunt card. So you can see it here. Yeah, Vow. Okay. Target. So this was really fun because there was a lot of payoff for casting instants and sorceries in Crimson Vow, so it was pretty sweet. And you could often get a couple or 3 or 4 of these potentially to do crazy stuffs. So again, this does target for your repartee, and it does replace itself with a draw card. So that can be pretty cool. Hi, Vinny. So sorry, I'm so sorry if I'm like anyway, just call Kip. Kip would work. It's hard to mispronounce that. I really want to learn how to pronounce something. But yeah, so this is a reprint. It is a good card, especially if you get bonuses for casting sorceries and instants like we do here. It does trigger your opus on the smaller end of it, but this effect can just win the game. Sometimes if you get a couple triggers off it, or if you get multiple of these and you can cast them in the same number of turns, etc., each one gets better. So I anticipate losing a lot of games to this card. And again, because we do have that opus, it can be quite strong. So again, these copies go up and up as you can get them. I mean, you can already start taking them pretty highly at like a B, or you can even prioritize it more higher if this is like your actual more highly if this is your actual theme that you really want to go into. So the problem is you cannot guarantee how many will be opened, and so that can be difficult to deal with. But you should remember that it is a sorcery, not an instant. That's also just a really important thing to remember. Archaic's Agony. Hey, Griddle! So Archaic's Agony is another converge spell, meaning it cares about the number of colors spent to cast it. It's at 5, just like the one we saw before in black, wherein, right, you're going to be, and I think a lot of the things that deal with Archaics are going to be converge. So exile cards from the top of your library equal the excess damage dealt to that creature this way, right? So it's going to deal X damage to target creature. If you spent 3 colors for 5 mana, it's going to deal 3 damage, and then you exile cards from the top of your library equal the excess damage dealt to that creature this way. This is not a good card in Limited, unless you're really going 5 colors, and even then, you're spending 5 mana for 5 damage that might get you an extra card until the end of the next turn. I'm not a huge fan of this. I really think this is bad. I'm ready to be wrong, but I really think this is unplayable. So, anyway. Yeah. Even at sorcery speed, like, oh, yeah. Okay, Artistic Process. We got 5 mana, sorcery, to deal 6 damage to target creature. I mean, that's already way better than this. Sorry. It is double red, but like, again, 6 damage to target creature, or 2 damage to each creature you don't control, which could be really crazy against the more aggressive decks. Or make a 3/3 blue and red elemental creature. Those are always the 3/3 flyers, and they gain haste. So this gains haste, rather. So, I mean, that's just a really nice, versatile card. Not only potential removal, but also potential stop up, crush the board, wrath, if you were more controlling, and or they got off to a crazy start, or just make a hasty 3/3 flyer with evasion. So there's that. Yeah. So this one's really good. I like this one. I'm definitely going to be taking at a B to B plus. Again, it triggers the Opus, the higher end of Opus, which is interesting. And then 6 damage to target creature for 5 mana is often what we're used to getting these days. Although at common, but the idea that you can do this versatility is really, really nice. So, I think it has a top end of it like a B plus. Usually it's going to be around a B. But yeah. Blazing Fire Singer. 3 mana, 2/3 that enters prepared. So the next turn you can Seething Song. So on turn 4 you can have 5 mana. So Seething Song, as we know, is another actual card that was reprinted. Here it is. So it was first printed in Mirrodin. And it was quite a bit of money. What? Okay. I had a lot of these I just sold. I think I might still have a lot of these. I should sell some of them. It was a lot of money at a time, and then it went down to like nothing. And then it went back up. So that's a thing. So it's quite pricey right now. This was a really cool card because it did add, it's 3 mana for 5. And so it ramped you into something crazy. It was also used in storm type decks and things like that to just make extra mana and keep going crazy. So this is it on a body, but you do need to wait the next turn to do it. So rather than being a 3 mana for 5, right? On 3, which is very important and a nice ramp, you have a 4, because this is going to be turn 4 at the earliest that you do this. Unless you've ramped something crazy, which I doubt there's any way you could have if you play this on 3 enough to do this, enough to make 6 mana on 3. But this is a turn 4 for 5 mana, then you need a 3 for 5, which is still pretty cool. I do like this card. I think it's a perfectly fine card. Again, you're gonna need to, it's gonna be a little bit interesting because it is, only red. So you're gonna need to have red spells to ramp into, but usually you'll be fine with that and have plenty of time to do it. So they probably are not going to want to kill a 2/3 for 3, so that gives you a little bit of, it has some staying power in that case. That said, there are things like Last Gasp and stuff like that, so it can be taken out pretty easily by commons. But it's still just a good card. So I would give this a B. It could end up being a B+, but I'm going to give it a B to start with. But again, Ramping Wind Red is not bad, so maybe I'm underrating this. Seething Song wasn't really that good in Limited, as far as I remember. It was good, just not, you know, that good. So anyway, I'm going to start from there. And again, things will go up and down in my estimation as we go. I think there's like one card that prepares things. Again, target creature becomes prepared. I think there's one card that does that, if I remember correctly. Charging Strife Knight. 3 mana, 3/3 haste. Not bad. That also rummages, rather. Okay. Okay. Yeah, but Griddle, there's also a lot of flicker effects in, so there's reset effects in white, that, you know, put it back to play at the end of the turn, and then there's also, at uncommon, there's one, and then in blue, there's plenty of bounce and, stuffs. So you can re-prepare stuff that way. But a lot of the best cards with prepare already do it themselves, if you meet certain criteria. But this is a fun card. It's aggressive, and it's a, you know, relevant creature type spirit. And if you need to rummage, that's great too. So I like this card. I think it's a B. Seems pretty good. There's a really loud noise outside, and I don't know what it is. It's big. Yeah. Sounds massive. I think it's just a lawnmower, but it's like really, like, intense. Like, it sounds like one of those giant, like, commercial lawnmowers. I hope you can't hear it, but it is really loud. You can hear it when I speak and the mic picks up. Yeah, it's real. I don't know. It's intense. Anyway, sorry about that. It's probably the neighbors. Dual Tactics. So 1 mana, does 1 damage to target creature. It can't block this turn, but it also has flashback, so that triggers your flashback synergies, like cards leaving the graveyard stuff. So it's the Super Shredder lawnmower. God, it's loud. If it is the neighbors, they don't even have that much of a lawn. I don't know. Like, ugh, anyway. Yeah. Hey, Skywater! Thanks so much, I appreciate it. But yeah, so Dual Tactics. 1 damage to target creature, can't block this turn. That's really nice to be able to just take out the, you know, the one blocker that has an advantageous block when you're sort of flunging and doing all the things. It also can take out, there's a lot of 1 toughness things in this that you are perfectly happy taking out. Again, pest tokens, etc. But again, if you don't kill it, at least it can't block. Again, the flashback is useful for things leaving the graveyard. It is a sorcery, so it does trigger the lower end of your opus. It targets a creature, so it does trigger repartee. So it's just a useful spell. I like this quite a bit. I think it's a B. I think it's pretty good. It's only to creatures. Remember, it's not to players, so that is going to be depressing on occasion, where you're like, I have them at 1. Why do you not target players? But yes. Anyway. So decent card. Expressive Fire Dancer's a 2/2 bear with opus. +1/+1 till end of turn. But you can also gain double strike if you do the bigger part of opus. Okay, that's interesting. How many X1 creatures? There's quite a few. I don't, there's not like a ridiculous number, but remember all the pests and inklings are 1/1s. To start with. And then we've also seen like a 2/1 in blue. We've seen 3/1 in white. So yeah, there's plenty. It won't always be useful to kill something, but it almost always will be useful to get through for some damage. So yeah, so this is it's a fine card. It's gonna be a C plus for me. It's a playable card. You're not super excited about it. Garrison Excavator, 4 mana, 3/4 menace. Okay. And whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, create a 2. Okay, that's great. For what this wants to do, for what Lorehold wants to do, this is really, really good. So again, all those cards with flashback, all those cards that just like you can exile them from the graveyard for some sort of value, all the like reanimation type stuff. This is going to be really, really nice. Pooping out a 2/2 is really sweet when you get to do this. So yeah, I like this card. This is a B/B plus. I mean, this could take over some games. I think this is a good card. There's not a lot that kills it at common either, really easily, because it doesn't have 3 toughness. So, that I've seen in the black or the white, you're often going to be trading up in a removal spell. As far as like common, at uncommon, there's things, but like that's less important. So yeah, I like this card. Goblin Glasswright. So 2 mana, enters prepared. You can create a treasure token the next turn at the 3. That's really actually quite lovely. This is a very good card in my opinion. Okay, so here's the thing. If you think about it, like the Plunderer stuff, right? We had like Brazen, not Blade Master. So we had Free Booty at 4 that created a treasure token, right? We had, we also had a 3 mana creature from Ixalan, Lost Caverns that gave us, there was a 3/2 that created a treasure token. And we had one from AFR that also created a treasure token at 3. It was a 2/2 and entered the battlefield. You could either create a treasure token or destroy target artifact. And this is basically that, but you get to play it first at 2, which is really nice. And then you get the additional value of casting a sorcery, which is really sweet. It's essentially free too, because you create a treasure token with that mana that turn. So it can trigger your Opus, it can do all sorts of stuff, and it ramps you. So I really like this card. I think this is a B- as opposed to a C+. I actually really like this card. I think it does a lot. Obviously, it's a bear to start with, but then you also get like this, and you don't like they have to take it out in order for that to not happen, and you get the added benefit of casting a spell. Yeah, I like this card. Heated Argument. All right, here's the 5 mana 6 damage to something that we're used to getting these days. We do have it in Foundations. Draw discard, I think it was. Red is used to getting 6 damage often on a spell these days, for 4 and a red. We get the removal here, so this is let's go Foundations. So Incinerating Blast, right? 6 damage to target creature. This one's at sorcery speed, whereas this is instant, which is obviously better. Then you also you can exile a card from your graveyard. If you do, it also deals 2 damage to that creature's controller, which can be quite valuable. If you notice here, you can discard a card if you do draw a card. That's an additional, plus on this. But I think this card is way better in this set, obviously, because it also has that exile a card from your graveyard, which so many things rely on to trigger awesome things. So it is pretty cool. So again, this is just what we're used to. We don't want to run too many of these. It's a very expensive removal spell, but it does kill most things that we've seen. And it gives added value potentially. So again, this is going to be like a B-/B, just like a card like this was. If you don't have better removal, you're definitely running more than one of these, but again, one is kind of where you really want to be with a lot of better like 3 damage and 4 damage spells, etc. But yeah, decent. Another Story Spotlight. If the card itself can re-prepare, then you're doing great. That's a good card to take. But unfortunately, there's only like one card that I know of that can re-prepare a card. Like target creature becomes prepared. You mostly are going to either be, like I said, flickering with the... So if we go to the white here, there is a Daydream. Exile target creature you control, then return it to the with a +1/+1 counter on it. That will re-prepare it. And, you know, you got stuff in blue, right? At the end of the turn, you could Banishing Betrayal your own creature, and then recast it to have it prepared again. So yeah, there's mostly just that, apart from the one card, I believe, that re-prepares stuff. Yes, the mana value 5 is relevant for Opus here, notably. So it's better than a normal 5 casting cost removal spell would be in red. Impractical Joke. Damage can't be prevented this turn, and Impractical Joke deals 3 damage to up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. Jesus Christ. Searing isn't what I'm thinking of. It's got to be one of the other many synonyms for burn it all to hell. It's not, though. There's a card that I'm thinking of. Here, give me 1 second. Red 2. It was played. This was played in Standard for a while. Shock something, probably uncommon. I don't remember whether it was an instant or sorcery. Oh, I'm never gonna... Hold on, go back. Don't know if it says can't. Skull Crack. Yes, skull. Yes, is it crack or is it? Yes, that's it. That's it. Players can't gain life this turn. Damage can't be prevented. Deals 3 damage to target player or planeswalker. This couldn't go to creatures. This did actually have use in Constructed. So the players can't gain life this turn was also hugely important. Which was really interesting. Impractical Joke deals 3 damage to up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. That is crazy. So wow. Damage can't be prevented is still relevant for protection from, I believe. But then you wouldn't be blocking. I forget what it's relevant for. There is something. But this goes creature or planeswalker, which is crazy. This is a very good card. Strangle is interesting here. 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker at sorcery speed. But the damage can't be prevented this turn is actually relevant. There are prevention effects out there. But Teferi's protection, this gets around. In terms of like commander damage. This is very good. Because there are planeswalkers in this set, number 1, but also 3 damage to a creature for 1 is still very, very good. Yeah, so like protection, keyword, MTG, right? So it grants several different effects. So here's the idea. So it cannot be damaged by sources with a specified quality. That's damage is prevented. So it actually gets around the prevention of damage that is granted with protection. So it's actually really interesting. It is really cool. So one of the things that you can, so just as you, so questing beast, combat damage that would be dealt by creatures you control can't be prevented. Teferi, right? Teferi's protection says that you gain protection from, and your life total can't change, but it doesn't matter whether your life total changes with commander damage because it's still dealt. So, and it isn't prevented, so it's really fun. But there are rare instances where you're giving protection from something or preventing damage in limited. It's sometimes relevant, but it's pretty cool. But this is just a good card anyway. So this is a B+. This is a very good card. I will be taking this very highly. It is uncommon for a reason, very clearly, because it kills most things in this. We've seen 4 and 5 toughness and 1/6 so far, at least. But 3 damage and -3/-3 from last gasp seem to be like the norm for killing things. So this kills most stuff. Living History, 2 mana. When it enters, create a 2/2 red and white spirit creature token. Whenever you attack, if a card left your graveyard this turn, so here's one of your benefits from leaving the graveyard again. Target attacking creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So again, if you're like using this first and exile a card from your graveyard, then you are getting this +2/+0. But not only that, but you're still getting a bear for this cost, and then it just happens to give you extra value later. So still a 2/2 bear with a relevant creature type. Spirit, there are things that pump spirits, mostly in the rare that I saw, but like I don't know if the other stuff. But yeah, so it's worth considering this card as just like a bear. It's a very good card. I like this. It's very perfectly runnable. You'll just get an added benefit sometimes. I'm going to give it, and it's best like on flyers and things with evasion, this +2/+0, definitely, or first strike. So I'm going to give this probably a B. I think it's pretty strong. It's not a B+, but I think, but that might change. I still want to say probably a B+. No, sorry, I still want to say probably a B, and it could graduate to a B+ in the right deck. Micah, Reader of Ruins, or Mika, I'm so sorry for mispronouncing that. There is some damage prevention in limited. So we had Aerostorm as recently as Khans. We had Armament of Nyx and Journey into Nyx. Well, I'm old, so I'm probably thinking these are more recent than some other things. But this one, Blessed Respite, was Modern Horizons 2. Ravnica here. This is Master's Set. This is this one, right? Prevent all damage that would be dealt by enchanted creature, etc. So this is Midnight Hunt, Dragons of Tarkir. Yeah. So there's still been stuff. There's been fog effects. That's Kaladesh. More Kaladesh. Final Fantasy. You can see on the other side, prevent all damage that would be dealt to creatures you control this turn. So there is stuff. It's just you haven't seen it very, like, you don't see it very often necessarily. But it does exist. Same thing with the Diamond Weapon. This was Amonkhet. War the Spark. Trying to call it the newer sets as opposed to like the older ones, but I recognize all these older ones. Here's Fear Fire Foes. Damage can't be prevented this turn. Prevent the next damage to be dealt. Prevent all combat damage. Blah blah blah. Oh, here, Fleeting Flight. This was Foundations. Prevent all combat damage to be dealt this turn. Right to it. Right. So we have had stuff. So it is actually relevant for this impractical joke, is my point. It's just rarely relevant. Okay. So 4/4/4, already good. Ward, pay 3 life, great. We're getting a little bit of value no matter what. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may sacrifice an artifact. If you do, copy that spell, and you may choose new targets for the copy. I don't know how good this is. I don't remember how many artifacts there are in this. But already it's a 4/4/4, so I don't care. And if I happen to get one instance of this, I'm probably super happy. So I think this is a B+ card. I think this is a very good card. Pigment Wrangler. 5 mana 4/4 flyer. Enters prepared. Striking Palette. When you next cast an instant sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. Oh, damn. Okay, this is also very good. 4/4 flying for 5 in red is not bad at all. But also the fact that you then get the next turn to double an instant or sorcery is pretty damn sweet. This one's also a B+. I really like this card. Rearing Embermane. That is creepy beyond all reason. I don't like it. Get it out of my sight. Okay, so I'm just gonna 4/5 reach haste horse for 5. I'm probably gonna die to that on occasion because four power haster can be pretty darn scary. I really just don't like the look of that thing. That thing is like emaciated and creepy. I really don't want to look at it again. I'm going to look at it again, but I don't want to. So I'm gonna try not to look at the artwork. So 4/5/4 horse beast, not necessarily relevant type. Reach haste. Reach is good. We do want red to have some reach to stop the onslaught of inklings and elementals from other people. So there will be a chance that you run this in the same situations that we used to run there was another 4/5 reach. I think it was an ogre or something like that in one of the semi-recent sets that overperformed just because it had reach and you were dying to flyers no matter what. So it was like... It was very important. So I anticipate that this will be around the same level of run as that. The fact that it does have haste is pretty sweet at common. So I some parts of me say you're gonna want this in a deck and like so it should give it a B-, but I'm gonna give it a C+ because I can't stand the art. Again, it could go up. Okay, so Rubble Rouser. So when it enters, you can rummage. It's a 1/4 for 3. That blocks a lot of the things that we've seen on the ground, so that's nice. You can tap, exile a card from your graveyard. So this is a recurring way to exile stuff from your graveyard. This is going to be very useful. So not only does, when you tap it to exile a card from your graveyard, not only do you trigger all those things that trigger when a guard leaves your graveyard, which is so many, but you also get a mana and deal 1 damage to each opponent. That is really sweet. I like this. I like this card. I'm gonna give this one a B-, definitely. This is a really cool card for... I mean, it might even be a B. There's so many things that it enables. Not only does it ramp you, but the incidental ping is really important, and it does exile cards from your graveyard, which again triggers a lot of different abilities. So I like this card. Seize the Spoils. 3 mana. As an additional cost to cast the spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards, and create a treasure token. Okay, so this is a reprint. From Pirates. No, Kaldheim. Okay. Was there an uncommon one from Kaldheim that did similar? I think it might be. But anyway, Seize the Spoils was actually from Kaldheim. So as an additional cost to cast the spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards, and create a treasure token. We've had this happen in the past, right? At 3 mana rather than 2 mana, because usually discard a card, draw 2 cards is at 2 mana and can be instant speed in red. This one, because it also creates a treasure token, is going to be the 3. I think there was one. I believe there's a red, 2 and a red, uncommon. That from Ixalan, I think it was, or Rivals. I think it was Rivals. No. Let's try Ixalan. No, also. Okay, I don't remember what it was then. Pirate's Pillage? Maybe it was 3 mana. Yes, 4 mana, 4 mana. Okay. So yeah, so they decided that this was too expensive. Way too expensive, and they made it into Seize the Spoils in Kaldheim, so it cost 1 less. So this was originally printed in Rivals, then it was reprinted as an uncommon. And then they printed it in Double Masters as a common, and then they decided that they would print Seize the Spoils in Kaldheim, which costs 1 less to do all the same thing. And now we have common of this as well. Same thing, reprinted. So this is as good as it gets for now. Someday this will cost 2 mana and be ridiculous. But this is a fine draw spell. And again, can fix your mana too with that treasure token a little bit for the next big spell. So perfectly fine card. I'm not going to be running too many of them necessarily unless I really want to prioritize spells and make sure that I hit all the stuffs and have more stuff in the graveyard. The thing is that this fills up the graveyard with 2 cards. So on the Strix EDH precons, just about, look through the lists and see what's more to your style of play. But yeah, so notably this gives you, so one thing about like this previous card is you're going to run out of cards in the graveyard, definitely, at some point. So it can be nice to have a couple of these to fill up the graveyard. So depending on what your deck looks like, you might want multiple copies of these. For now, I'm going to put it as a, C+/B-, but like, again, it goes up to that B- if you run these like Rebel Rousers, etc., and are in that type of deck. So, Strife Scholar, 3 mana, 3/2, ward pay 2 life, okay, but it doesn't trade very well necessarily, meh. This creature enters prepared, okay, but they don't want to kill it because they've got this, they have to pay 2 life and a card to kill it, most likely, or, like, at 6 mana you get this. I like this card just fine. I like it like the, I think it's fine like the Merfolk. I think the Merfolk is better, I think the Merfolk is better, the one that draws 2 cards for 5. Especially with the reduction in cost for spells, for instants and sorcery spells in blue. But this is still fine. Yeah, I'm good with this card. I'm gonna give this one a B-. It's better than a lot of the commons that we get here. Yes, the kitty says hi. All right, here's an artifact that we get sacked to that 3/4 from earlier, or 4/4. I forget what it is. Catty treat. But this is an artifact that we could conceivably sacrifice to double our instant or sorcery spell. So Tablet of Discovery, we got when it enters mill a card, you can play that card this turn, not the next turn. It's always very important. Some of these effects go like until the end of your next turn, but this one's this turn. So if you don't play it, though, you keep it in the graveyard, obviously, and that is fodder for the graveyard synergies like the Rebel Rouser here. And it is also ramp. And it's double ramp if you can if you can cast instant sorceries with it, which is really nice because that gets you to your 5 mana for your Opus, the bigger trigger of Opus, which is really nice. And also there's just some really good big instants and sorceries to cast. For example, this like Awaken the Ages, etc. So I do like that in the later game, in the earlier game, this can just fill up the graveyard for the graveyard synergies, but in the and ramp you into other stuff, right? At least it's a mana rock for 1. But in the later game, it can find you a card to play that turn. So that is pretty sweet. And notice that when you pay the 3, you get 1 of that back immediately because you can tap artifacts for newer players. You can tap artifacts the turn they come into play as long as they're not like actively a creature. So. So I like this card. I think it's a B. I think it does some useful stuff. Tackle Artist. Yes, Neo Draft is back. If we weren't already mythic, it'd be super easy to do that. But also, really, I love playing Neo. Tackle Artist is 4 mana for a 4/3 trample. It has Opus. So it gets counters. Instead of getting +1/+1 until end of turn, like several of the ones we've seen, it does +1/+1 counter, period. And then 5, it gets 2 +1/+1 counters. This is a fine card. I like this card. It can really do some damage. I'm still going to give it a... I'm going to give it a... Because it's a 4/3 on start. I want to give it a B-, but it's probably still a C+. It's probably perfectly runnable, and you're fine to run it, and it can do some good things. There's so much balance in blue. I mean, 4/3, it's got trample. That's the key. I want to give it a B- based on our scale. And I think my scale has been a little bit elevated because all of these have been, more than playable a lot of the time, and I've been more excited about them. So maybe I should have... One of the earlier commons, I probably should have rated it a C and then used that scale, but it's all relative. Thunderdrum Soloist. 2 mana for a 1/3 reach. Okay. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. If 5 or more mana was spent to cast it, deals 3 damage to each opponent instead. Jesus Christ. Oh, God. Okay. God, what is the... Okay, so, Crimson Vow, Kessig, Flame something. Flame Breather. This was anytime you cast a non-creature spell, not an instant or sorcery, but there's so many there's a ton of instants and sorceries in this, very clearly. So 1 damage to each opponent. This was a crazy card, and it was also in the same thing. So they are printing 2 versions. So this is like similar idea, instant and sorcery, not just full things. But this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent, right? When you recast an instant and sorcery. Same thing like this for the most part. Obviously, non-creature spell includes enchantments and artifacts and so on. But for the most part, in the Prismari decks that you're running this in, for example, mostly Prismari. I mean, obviously, it's okay in Boros, but... Lorehold. But it's okay in that, but it's better in this. So in this set, same set, you had Ancestral Anger as well. So, Crimson Vow here. So this was really good with the little duder guy. With this Flame Breather. And so the same thing, we have this, only this one's uncommon. So it's going to be interesting. But there's so many more instants and sorceries that are relevant in the Prismari stuff that I think this is just going to be like a slam dunk pick. Not only is it a 1/3 with reach already, not only does it have all those abilities with like the, the Opus and stuff for the synergies with things, but it's also a 1/3 with reach. And a 1/3 with reach, the body that we've seen is very relevant against the Inkling tokens and various other things like that. And the 1/3, there's a lot of like 2/2s early, like it really blocks. So I really like this creature. I'm gonna give it a B+. I really like this one. Okay, I've got to pick 4 Imperial Oath. Nice. 3 Beholders and the Speaker. Yeah, and Behold is like the best uncommon in the set, and Imperial Oath is excellent. I need to... Where is my phone? Alright, I gotta go find my phone and turn on the AC because it is freaking hot in here now. It's 78 out, apparently. It was like 30 like 2 days ago. So, wee. Alright, I'll be right back. Yeah, and then in this particular room, because of the lights and stuff, it's 81. Jesus. Cooling it. There it goes. I'm gonna cool the office too for later. That should cool more, keep more of the house at a reasonable temperature. Jesus. Um. So, yeah, so I really like this card. I think you just take it. It's very, very good. B plus. Tome Blast. Sorcery speed 2 damage to any target, but you can flash it back. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a B minus. We're more excited to run it than most things because it has that flashback. Super, super sweet. 2 casts of sorcery, does target a creature. So it's going to do a lot for the triggers, triggered abilities in the set, like the repartee, etc. And the when a card leaves the graveyard and so on. So seems good. B minus / B, I think. Okay. Unsubtle Mockery. What? Sorry, I'm trying to interpret this art. So here's 3 for 4 damage target creature at instant speed, surveil 1. Holy shit. At common. We've had 4 damage to target creature. It's usually sorcery speed. Not Oblivion. It's red. It's not gonna be Oblivion. What was it called? Freaking hell. Brothers War. Red. 1 and a red. Bro. Uncommon. Obliterating Bolt. So 4 damage target creature, planeswalker, and it exiles them if they would die this turn. But it was sorcery speed. And that's good, but in limited, the instant speed of this plus the surveil makes, I think this is even a better card. This is a really sexy card. I really like this card. This is a B/B plus. I think there's a ton of things in this that it kills at 4 damage. And the fact that it's instant really makes me happy. The fact that you get a surveil to fill up the graveyard makes me really happy. Or just fix your draws, obviously. I do like this card. I do like this card. It's just, this is a good removal spell for red. I'm really happy with the red removal in this so far. But that artwork, I can't really interpret. It's weird. Like how, so it's obviously he's part art, part alive, but why is it, okay. I'm not gonna try. Okay. Zealous Lorecaster. 6 mana, 4/4. When it enters, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. You think pushed into the painting by the red? Maybe. Maybe. Yeah, the capture the exact likeness. Yeah, could be. Cool and weird either way, absolutely. Definitely. So this Zealous Lorecaster, nope. It's the, nope. So we've had versions of this in blue, right? Return target instant or sorcery card from your hand. But we've also had it in red at 5. So there's like a rebel that did it or something like that. But it was a rebel type, so I'm going to have to go look. Or something like that. It was a rebel, I think. So it was anyway, 4 and a red. This comes out next week, yes. The pre-release is this coming weekend, because tomorrow's the early access. It was an uncommon. What? Okay, I'm gonna choose not rebel. Definitely creature. I should just put return. Anarchist. That okay. I was thinking rebel, but it was actually anarchist was the name of the thing. Is okay. So when anarchist comes into play, you may return target's sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. So this is first in Exodus with this particular thing. Any pre-release pack I recommend? Not yet. I played Witherbloom splashing splashing white just for one card on Shuffle Up and Play. And I do really like the Witherbloom synergies, but there's a lot of other synergies that are great and I have tried them out. So again, I can't guarantee anything being better than anything else yet because I haven't played the set enough. That said, I think Witherbloom is fairly straightforward to play, whereas I think the others require a little bit more doing, if that makes any sense. But yeah. So Anarchist, 5 mana for a 2/2. When it comes into play, you can return target sorcery card, only sorcery, not instant, from your graveyard to your hand. So we have had versions of that. There's been others more recently that are greater power and toughness and instant and sorcery. So same thing with this, but it's 6 mana for a 4/4. I don't know how I feel about 6 mana for a 4/4. That does this, but it's still very good if you get back in removal, and it does have a card leaving your graveyard, so it does do what you want it to do. I think you only ever want one in a deck, though. So I'm going to put it as a C+. I think it's good. I think you might want one as playable. It has a playable effect. It's just, yeah. All right. Now we on to the green. Okay. That's right. I think for this pre-release there, I think they're doing seeded packs, right? For the colleges. Okay. So yeah, Aberrant Mana Worm. So 4 mana for a 2/5 trample. That's fine. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, this creature gets plus X plus O until end of turn, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast that spell. I love this. This is a great card. It requires things to go right, so it's still a B, but I think it's a really fun card. Usually for like 4 mana, you usually get like at least a 4/4 with trample these days. So it does require some things to go right, but there's so many instants and sorceries in this set that I think just when they have to consider what you can pay and what you can do to block, I think it's pretty cool. It's probably a B-. It really, I'm overly fond of this type of effect. But when you consider that, like, recently we've been getting things like the 4/4 elephant, the pachyderm, here, like 4/4 reach, trample for 4, and also gain 2 life when it comes into play. This is a thing. But yeah. So again, if you can cast like a, +3/+0, or do damage to the thing that's blocking it, or blah, and get like a little bit more damage out of it, it's I like it. But again, it does require some more doing than like just playing this card, for example. But the 5 toughness does matter, as you've seen with this most recent 4 damage to target creature. That is actually a nice stat now that we're seeing. So yeah. That's sweet. Okay. Additive Evolution. So this Amy played in Shuffle Up and Play, and it is a very good card. So it's a 5 mana to put a 3/3 green and blue fractal token into play. And in the beginning of combat on your turn, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It could be that fractal that it came in with, or it could be any other creature that you control. And it gains vigilance until end of turn. It's a sweet card. This one is a B+. I really like this card. It just does work. Burog Barrage. So 1 and a green. Target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. If you've cast another instant or sorcery spell this turn, then it deals damage equal to its power to up to 1 target creature an opponent controls. So, this is a bite. that can be better. It's up to one target creature an opponent controls. It does not. So the best version we've ever had on this is like Cosmic Hunger, which is target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to another target creature, planeswalker, or battle. We've had creature or planeswalker in like Master's Rebuke. We've had creature, planeswalker, and battle in the form of Cosmic Hunger. And we've also had some things that, okay, this creature is going to get plussed before it does damage. This is that effect. So it's only creature, so it's more like a rabid bite than a Cosmic Hunger. But it is so instant. So it's a Master's Rebuke, really. Was that the one that does the planeswalker? Yeah, creature planeswalker. So, but at least it's an instant speed. So while this cannot target a planeswalker, which is going to be irritating because there is an Ajani and a Chandra in here, I think. Oh wait, no, Ajani and Chandra aren't actually in the set themselves. It's the Witherbloom guy and the Ral Zarek that is black-white, I think. But yeah, it's going to be irritating when those are on the board and your barrage can't target it. But there you go. But this can potentially get +1/+0, which is nice. But Rabid Bite has always been just a good removal spell anyway. This is a B/B+. Take it when you need the removal. Chelonian Tackle, 3 mana. Target creature gets. Okay. So, target creature you control gets +0/+10 until end of turn. This is only sorcery speed. So, remember that. It's not an instant. And it is a fight, not a punch/bite. So, you better make sure that you have enough power to kill, but you're certainly going to be able to survive it, in theory. So, yeah. I'm trying to figure out if there's any way we can deal butt damage in this set. I don't think I remember anything. I don't think I remember anything, but that's pretty cool. I think this might go in my Walls deck, though. My Arcades Tukas's deck. So Arcades gives my creatures with Defender able to attack, and also assigns damage equal to its toughness. So if we give something +10, that thing is doing a lot of damage. 10 to the butt, it's doing a lot of damage. So that could be really fun for that deck. In the meantime, it's just another, it's a fight effect, and the creature will likely survive the fights, but you just have to make sure you have enough power to actually kill the creature that you're targeting. So, again, this also targets, so if you are happening to be running like Selesnya type colors, you can, potentially, trigger your repartee. Actually, there's a couple repartee in the black too, I think. So yeah, B, sometimes B+. Efflorescence, 3 mana, put 2/+1 on counters on target creature, and if you gain life this turn, that creature also gains trample and indestructible. Okay. At instant speed, that's a good combat trick. If you've gained life this turn. Obviously we've had 4 mana, put 2/+1 counters on a creature and untap it. Like, I don't think it was called Scales, but it might have been. It was 4 mana. So, yeah, so this was from Cons originally, the idea that I'm looking for. So it was green, 3 and a green, Cons. Or actually, no, it was Dragons, or was it Fate? I don't even remember. We'll check really quickly. But it was a common search. Not this one. Okay. So Cons. Yeah, Dragon Scale Boon. So put 2+1/+1 counters on target creature and untap it for 4 mana instant speed. So here it's 2 counters for 3, so we've gone down a little bit, but it doesn't untap, and it only does the rest of this if you gain life this turn. And it's pretty easy in Witherbloom to gain life this turn, as you've seen. So seems okay, unless you fight a Death Toucher. Yeah, don't do that. Unless you really just need the Death Toucher gone so you can win the game. I'm not sure about this one. It's a good, I mean, it's a combat trick to be aware of, definitely. I think it can do crazy things on the attack, especially in Quandrix, actually. I know it's a Witherbloom card, but especially in Quandrix seems to have the biggest creatures. And so I think that it's possible that this is even better on like a big fractal. To give, if you have a little bit of life gain synergy in the deck. So, I'm gonna give it a C+. It's a fine card. I'm not like super unhappy to run it. Emil, Vastlands Roamer, 3 mana 3/3, fine ROI. Creatures you control with +1/+1 counters have the trample. Okay, so, but you can also pay 4 and tap it to create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token, and you put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of differently named lands you control. So in most decks, you're gonna have at the very least 2 differently named lands. So you can pay 5 when the board is stalled out and you don't have anything to do. You can create a 2/2 green and blue fractal creature token for 5. That is wonderful. And you can do more sometimes because there's a lot of different uncommon lands here. Common lands here that will give you the College Surveil, which is really nice. That gives you another color. So oftentimes you're going to be doing 3, and that's pretty darn sweet. So I really like this card. The creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them have trample. That's also a very good general thing when you're putting counters on things a lot. There's a lot of +1/+1 counter synergies in this that we've seen. We've seen it in the white. We've seen some in the black, and we've seen some in the green here. So the this is not inconsequential, and it's a very good card because it puts more creatures into play with +1/+1 counters on them, and it's already at 3/3 for 3, which is a fine ROI these days. So it's a really nice card to get late game when you've already got a bunch of fractals that are big with +1/+1 counters, or you know, and then you can also cast this, but it's also early game just fine as a blocker early and like a not insignificant threat. So one of the things we want to look at a little bit is like so Ovia here in the original Kaladesh here, you could tap to put like for pay 5 to create this, right? Now, this was a really stupid card, like absolutely stupid. That's why it's rare. But this is similar idea. So it's worth considering that, that this can, you know, do to a lesser extent what that card did. And I really like this card. I think it's a B+. I think it's very good. Now, this creatures you control with +1/+1 counter have trample. We've had a lot of, versions of that, right? Each creature you control with +1/+1 counter on it has trample. We had the Tuskguard Captain, each creature with your light. So these are all in my like many of them are in my +1/+1 counters deck, and it's also, so these are really good effects to have with any set that has a bunch of +1/+1 counters, but also your EDH stuff is really sweet. But yeah, I really like this card. Environmental Scientist. Oh man. Oh man. Oh yeah, I was really I was kind of upset when I saw this card. So I get that these days we have things like Town Greeter, right, which mills 4 cards. You can put a land from on them into your hand, or a permanent with various other things. This does fill up the graveyard, which is very good for anything with graveyard synergies, which we do have. Those are really good. So this is a sort of a similar effect, but you may lose some cards. But it's, you know, it's better in a different way and weaker in a different way as well. But when we see like, was it border something? I'm gonna go find it. Borderland Ranger. I think this was the first one I remember of. Yeah, like M10 / Avacyn Restored. So this effect, no matter what it was, used to cost 3. So, and you can see even with Nervous Gardener that you put up there, Nervous Gardener cost 1 and a green, but then you have to, you can disguise it, right? And turn it face up, but you have to pay 3 first, right? And then turn it up face for green. You don't get the effect on 1 and a green. So this effect is usually 3. And they made it more and more powerful because you could fetch gates as well. So like, so is it, so like, God, what was District? I think it was District Guide. They had an even better one more recently, but District Guide was the one I remember too. Was the here's like, okay, so it's border agent thing, but like 2/2, and then you could search for a basic land card or gate card, which was crazy, and that was uncommon. And now we've got this same effect that it does it on 2. This is pretty crazy. I love this card. And yes, Environmental Scientist is harkening back to Environmental Sciences, which was the lesson card. Here, that people were very much heavily prioritizing in Strixhaven, the first. First of its name. So, so this is a very good card. This is an A- for me. This is a very good card. So this is sick and wonderful. And I love it and take it. Follow the Lumerets. 2 mana. Oh, they're cute. Ugly cute, but cute. Oh, no, that one's just cute. This one's ugly cute when it has its mouth open. Anyway, so this is 2 mana, Infusion. You have to have gained life this turn for stuff to something to happen here. So you look at the top 4 cards of your library. You can reveal a creature or land card from among them and put it into your hand. If you gained life this turn, you may instead reveal 2 creature and or land cards from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So at the very worst, it's top 4 creature or land. Which I'm usually not a fan of this type of effect, but I am a huge fan of the 2 creature and or land cards. So if you are in any sort of life gain deck, this one to me will probably be a B. But if you're not in a life gain deck, I usually really don't highly value this effect. I usually put it at a C/C+. I don't like running these effects. I do know some people who swear by them, but for me, I just don't like them. But the 2 is huge. Because if you could get a creature and a land, or 2 lands if you really need them, or 2 creatures for 2 mana, that is sick. So again, you have to be in a life gain themed deck for me to want to really heavily run this, but it goes really high, the first copy at least, if you are in a life gain deck. So there's a story spotlight card too. Glorious Decay. Okay. Oh my god. They just keep making these better. Okay. So this is spectacular art. I don't know if you've looked really closely at this, but this is pretty epic. So I don't think it was called Heritage, but I'm not. Yes, it is. Okay. So we've had versions of this card. This one's from Tarkir Dragonstorm. Choose one. Destroy target artifact. Destroy target enchantment. Exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard. Draw a card. Now we have versions of this. They all change. Sometimes it's artifact and enchantment and a creature with flying. Sometimes like the Broken Wings type effect. Sometimes it's exile a card from a graveyard. Sometimes it's draw a card. Sometimes it's blah, right? So this is the same idea. This one has the artifact like Heritage. It doesn't have enchantment. That is important. And it deals 4 damage to target creature with flying, which kills a lot of the things with flying that we've seen, so that's pretty good. But it isn't destroy, notably, so it doesn't kill the Elder Dragons, like Broken Wings would. So it is, there's trade-offs in all of these. And then we have exile target card from a graveyard, draw a card, just like Heritage at the last one. Remember when you exile target card from a graveyard to do it at a time where they can't benefit from it if they're in the Boros type colors. Yeah. If you're in the Boros type colors or have like a white card with that effect, or a red card with that effect, make sure you do it at a time you can benefit from it. So yeah. So it is versatile. I anticipate there being more. Doesn't that art slap? It's so good. I anticipate there being some more enchantments that I would like to remove, so they probably didn't include that. There are fewer artifacts that I've seen yet so far, but again, we haven't gotten to the end. So I do think this is a card, especially in Best of 1 these days, that I'm happy to run. Heritage I was less happy to run because it didn't deal with flyers. There were enough artifacts and enchantments in this, though, like the sieges that I really wanted to destroy, that I was happy to run this in this particular set. At least one copy in Best of 1 main deck. So in Best of 3 I would often just side them in, but yeah. So again, this one probably is going to be like that. So I'm not sure how to rate those cards where I'm just like maybe B-. Like I don't want multiple copies necessarily unless I'm really weak to flyers or the artifacts are really good in the set. But yeah. Or I go up against a reanimation thing. So if you saw me play the Shuffle Up and Play, there was a 2-1 that kept coming back from my graveyard because it was a rare and I could just keep replaying it by exiling a sorcery or instant from my graveyard. So that's one of the things you do want to take care of. All right. Hungry Graphalon. We have a giraffe. Is this the first giraffe in Magic? Aha! Yes, it is. Yeah, why is it not a Giraffalon? Yeah. But yeah, this is the only giraffe in Magic. What's funny is there are more, like, antelopes. There are a lot of antelopes, it turns out. Even though I use that as my, like, random creature type. And, like, with which nobody, like, would call. But, like, there are actually a lot of antelopes. This one's been errated to be an antelope. But yeah, there are actually, like, 10 of them. But that's our only giraffe. Welcome to Magic, where giraffes are rare, but also common. Sorry. I'm feeling punchy. Anyway, all right. So 3/4 reach increment. So if you cast a 5 mana spell, or a 4 mana spell, you can increment this. Because again, it has 3 power. So if you cast a 4 mana spell, that would work. Yes, giraffe is now rarer than brushwag. Oh wait, I gotta go actually to the type line of brushwag. Check it out. Let's see. Can I go to advanced, please? Hello. Loading. Increment on a big creature. Yes, that's one of the things we were going to discuss right yet. So we want type line brushwag. Bidoop. So there are 4 brushwags now. But we only have 1 giraffe. I adore the Mirage artwork. Look how surprised this thing looks. It looks like Nosferatu is what it looks like with its little 2 teeth and its like clawed hands in the posture. It really does. But this is the original brushwag for those of you who did not know that this was not the original. And then we had 1 in Modern Horizons 3 and we had 1 in OTJ. So there we are. But yeah, so this is the first giraffe. It's reach 3/4. Increment on a creature is almost never good when it's very big already. And this is not very big, but it is big enough. But if you do cast a 4 mana spell after this, or a 5 mana spell after this, at least it's going to be a 4/5. So it's a fine card, especially if you need protection from flyers. And it does block those 3/3 flying elementals. That's really important. So I'm going to give it a C+, perfectly playable. I'm not super excited to run it, but it is perfectly playable. Infirmary Healer enters prepared as a 2-mana 2/3. That's already great stats these days. It has Stream of Life attached to it. So Stream of Life, we're not going to go to the we're going to go to like the beautiful foil 7th edition. Wait, that's only $5 for that foil? 7th edition foils are notoriously rare. I didn't realize that it was going to be... I mean, obviously the card's worthless. Like, it's a 19-cent card. It's nothing. It's bulk. But, and you can see that this foil is worth more than others by a lot. But still, like, $5.49 for a 7th edition foil is lower than I expected. But yeah, Stream of Life, you gain X life, or target player. You could also have your opponent gain X life. Original Brushwag is how your email finds me! Sorry, that's great. Totally. Anyway, it's a Netflix. Are you still watching? Sorry. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, it's already just a good blocker. It's a good statted card for it's a good ROI, and it enters prepared, and you can gain life at some point, and that's pretty sweet, especially for the life gain synergies deck. I like this card. I do think it's more of a B than a B+, but I really like this card. Lumerette's Favor. Oh my god, they're so cute. I want a Lumerette plush. Oh my god. No, that's not as cute as the actual thing. But they do exist. But I really want it has to have the actual, like, look at them. They have, like, really pointy, like, and, like, it needs to have the smile. The smile's important. This is not that. Oh, well. I want a plushie. All right, but I want a plushie that looks like that. Anyway, sorry. 2-mana infusion instant. When you cast a spell, copy it if you gained life this turn. You may choose new targets for the copy. Target creature gets +2/+4 until end of turn. That's a fine trick, especially if you can double it. I'm still going to give it a B/B-. Tricks are fun. Tricks are for kids like me. But it's not like super priority. It definitely can blow out a huge attack, especially if you can gain life. But yeah, decent stuff. Mindful Biomancer. I did play this card. This is the so it's a 2-mana 2/2, so it's a bear on the face of it, but it also gains 1 life when it enters the battlefield, which is a really good thing to do in Witherbloom. As you've seen, the life gain synergies for the infusion is really sweet. So on a turn where you need to make a big attack, you could play the Biomancer and then hold up this trick and do 2/2/4s, which is really sweet. But what you can see here is this creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn, activate only once each turn, which is the Root Wallop type ability. So the first creature that we found that had this ability was in Tempest. It was Root Wallop, 3-mana 2/2. You could pay 2 instead to do this and use it only once instead. Once each turn. This one's 3, but I think that's because it already has some really good value early with the gaining life. So yeah, walla. If you try to sneak up on a Root Walla, you'll suddenly find yourself dealing with twice the lizard. 2 Root Wallas and a trench coat. But yeah, so this is a good card. It's still a C+/B-. Like, you could graduate to B- really depending on the deck, but I think it's a C+ normally. Just a useful card. A bear that has upside. Nice stuffs. Noxious Newt. So this is 1/2 Death Touch that adds green. This is a perfectly fine card. It is something similar we've seen are the Druids recently. One of the best versions that we've seen recently is from Modern Horizons 3. So we see, so 1 and a green, and I want common, and I want MH3. So this Nightshade Dryad was like the best version of this that we've ever seen. It's a 2-mana with Death Touch, 1/2 that can add 1 mana of any color. You could also add colorless for your Eldrazi spells, which was really cool, or your spells that had devoid or cared about that. But 1 mana of any color. Now this one just adds green, but that's good enough for a common, right? In a normal set that isn't super overpowered like MH3. But yeah, really good and limited. It's ramp, and they don't want to attack into it. We've also seen, similarly with this Nightshade Dryad, we've just seen that Frog Butler recently. Buttles. It can tap to add 1 mana of any color. It's a 1/1 rather than a 1/2, which is notable. That actually does matter, especially when we have a lot of 1/1s attacking on the ground in the form of pests. This can block and eat pests, which is really kind of adorable and cute because you can probably picture that happening with its tongue going out. I don't know. Anyway. But yeah, this one gaining reach until end of turn was super useful. But this is kind of, you're trading off that for the 2 toughness and adding there. So it's just, it's not better than Frog Butler, and it's not better than the Dryad. But it is still something nice to have, and it does ramp you, so that's sweet. So again, I think these are going to be probably, like, if people just don't want to attack into these, I think these are going to be probably a B-/B. Probably just going to stay level at B at some point. I'm just not sure exactly, because they do die to a lot of the removal, but nobody wants to remove them, so yeah. And that 2 toughness really matters, because we've seen a number of things that give -1/-1 or do 1 damage in red, and give -1/-1 in black. So again, just worthy of note. And you do want to remember that the -1/-1 in black exists, because then that'll take away its ability to do damage, and the death touch won't matter. So okay, Oracle's Restoration. Now this is similar. The same artist is the one who did the where'd it go? Essence Scatter. So you can see a very similar style here. Pretty cool. Elliot Lang, I think. Yes, both are. I am correct. Yeah, so this is Oracle's Restoration. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. You draw a card and gain 1 life. So at 1 mana to draw a card in green is kind of crazy. A cantrip in green is pretty nice, even at sorcery speed. But the +1/+1 until end of turn is not, bad for having something happen, right? Maybe you could fight, but this is a nice sorcery to play before that that fight spell that we saw that gives +1/+0. The Burrog Barrage. That would be a really interesting one in a turn to play before this, so that you can trigger the +1/+0 in addition to the +1/+1 that you got, and draw a card and do stuffs. So this isn't a bad thing. And the gaining 1 life, again, can trigger all your synergies, your gaining life synergies. So fine card. I still think it's a C+, but like, I think it's perfectly runnable. Pest Brood Sloth. The professor played this card. This card is a house. This is a really good card. So okay. So let's break this down. We've got a 4/4 reach for 4. Good stuff. No trample like we've seen with the, TMNT Elf Pachyderm, but it has when it dies, create 2 1/1 black and green pest creature tokens, right? That is just good. It blocks the 3/3 elementals, the flying ones. It blocks most other things. Not all, but most. And nobody wants to kill it because you still get value. So that's pretty sweet. I love this card. I think this is a B+ card. I think it's just a very valuable card in the set, because the set also has death synergies. And things like that, and it has recursion, so it's pretty sweet. Okay, Shopkeeper's Bane. So this is a badger pest. It's a 3. So now we're delineating pests. Okay, I see. So pests now have other types. 3 mana 4/2 trample. Whenever this creature attacks, you gain 2 life. That's a good way to gain life and have gain life synergies for every turn. Well, at least for 1 turn, because again, it trades down potentially. But it does have trample, and it does wear counters pretty well. So again, it does do what you need it to do in a deck once, this gaining life thing. And so I think I'm going to give it a C+. I'm fine running it. I'm not super happy. So Snarl Song. So this is the Converge in the green, which is 6 mana. Create 2/0/0 and put X +1/+1 counters. Now this one is worth running. This one is worth running. not only does it trigger all of your opus big triggers, which because it's more than 5 mana. So at 5 mana it would trigger them, the big triggers, but it's even more than 5 mana, so guaranteed to trigger, of course. And then 2, so even if you pay 3 colors into this, you're getting 2 3/3s, which for 6 mana is a great ROI. And then you gain X life, 3 life. So this is really good. Especially compared to the others, which I think are basically unplayable for the most part. But this is a very good one, so I'm happy with this card. I'm gonna give this probably a B+. I think you do run it in any deck with, in a deck with at least 3 colors, right? You do not want to run this in a 2-color deck. If you have no way of producing a 3rd color, I don't think it's worth it. I don't think 6 mana for 2 2/2s plus 2 life is correct. But if you can reliably get 3 colors to cast this, I think you're perfectly, think it's a B+ card. I think it's really good. Again, you don't necessarily want to run too many of them because 6 mana is a lot, but you do have ways to ramp that we've seen in green. And we do have ways to, in Quandrix, for example, in the blue, we saw the wizard that casts instants and sorceries for 1 less, right? That helps you cast instants and sorceries, adds mana for those. So again, I think that card's good. This is my favorite card in the set. I had 2 of these. So this is Studious First Year. It is a 1/1, which doesn't feel right. 1/1 bear. Bears should be 2/2s, as we had a huge discussion on Shuffle Up and Play. But it enters prepared, and it has a rampant growth on a stick. It is so good. It is so good. So this is so good for limited. This is, for me, a B pick, sometimes B+. This is just a really good card. I really like this card. So it enters prepared. It's a 1/1. The next turn you rampant growth. You put another land card, basic land card onto the library thing. It fixes your mana and it ramps you. It is so good. The consequences of a domesticated bear. So good. I love this card. And one of the things that you could do, I definitely can see people doing the 5-color decks with as many Studious First Years and Snarl Songs as they possibly can. Again, the other converge spells, I don't for the most part, are really not worth running, in my opinion, especially the red one. The red one's hard. But yeah. So, Tenured Concoctor, 5 mana 4/5, Vigilance. Whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. Okay! And gets +2/+slow as long as you gain life this turn. That's pretty sweet. I wish it had Reach instead of Vigilance. I think Reach would be much better. Because I think the people that are going to be targeting that, they're not going to care about it if they have a bunch of flyers and then they're in yeah. Anyway, I do think this is a C+/B- card. If it had Reach, it would definitely be minus, I think. But yeah, it's fine. C+ probably. All right, Thornfist Striker. I did run this card. It did so much work. Because I was able to gain life every turn because I had Illumerate. So 3 mana 3/3, already good stats. Has Ward 1, harder to take care of. And creatures you control get +1/+0 and have trample as long as you gain life this turn. I was just able to flunge every turn having gained life, and it was just sick. So I was doing 7 damage on turn 4, I think. It was, yeah. With 2 creatures in play already, so it was pretty sweet. Of course Prof didn't have a blocker, but that's Prof's fault. Anyway, so that's a great card. I really like this card. I think this is a B+ card. I really like this card. As long as you're in an infusion based deck. If you're not in an infusion based deck, I'm still thinking it's more of a B-. Yeah, Ward 1. There's actually there's a bunch of stuff that costs 1 and 2 to remove things. like Last Gasp and the Strangle type variant that we saw earlier. And there's one that does 4 damage for 3 mana in red. And then there's a murder type thing at uncommon. So the ward one will still matter though, just because it creates a tempo disadvantage. So actually I had these two. I had both of these cards in my deck, and I did play both of them. This is Topiary Lecturer. It's a 3 mana 1/2. It has increment, and the number of its power, you add that green when you tap it. So it is so sweet. So it's a little expensive for a mana dork at 3 mana. But it very quickly ramps you to impressive things, and it grows bigger very quickly. So I was really happy to have this card. I do think this is a B+ card in green. Okay. Wild Hypothesis. I also used this. This is the way you create a really giant fractal in this, among other cards, but this is one of the ways you create a really giant fractal. So you create a 0/0, you put X counters on it. Again, this can trigger both your lower versions of the Opus or higher, depending on how much you spend to cast it, and you get to Surveil 2 after you do this. So, sweet card. I do think it's probably a B-/C+. You definitely want it in heavily spell-based decks. Zimone's Experiment. I did run this. I believe I played it too, yeah, and toward the end of one of them. The game's slows. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You can reveal up to 2 creature and or land cards from among them, then put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Put all land cards revealed this way onto the battlefield tapped, and put all creature cards revealed this way into your hand. So you can get a creature and a land, or a creature and a creature, or a land and a land, and the lands come into the battlefield tapped, which is a ramping spell, which is crazy. Or if you need the creatures, you get the creatures. So I do think this is valuable for that respect. I think it's a B. It's a good card. You don't want that many of them, but it is a good card. All right, now we get into the... As long as my voice can keep up, I can feel it fading a little bit. But we get into the uncommons, and these can be pretty sick. These are the Signpost uncommons. And it looks like they're not going in alphabetical order. They're going in order of their college. So we're going to see the Silver Quill first, it looks like. So this is Abigail, whom we've seen before in as double white in the Lorwyn Eclipsed. So this is a returning character. So this is a 3 mana 2/3 flyer. And whenever you cast a spell, it becomes prepared. So it doesn't enter prepared, but you can, anytime you cast a spell, you get this heroic stanza opportunity, which is put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, which triggers your repartee. It triggers your like +1/+1 counter synergy things. It's a thing. It's creature spell. Sorry. Whenever there's a creature spell, it becomes. I think I said any spell. My apologies. Whenever you cast a creature spell, which again for the Silver Quill is a lot of what you're going to be casting. It's less focused on instants and sorceries than it is focused on creatures. At least not to the degree that like Quandrix and Prismari are. I'm comparing it to that. So Witherbloom and Silver Quill and Lorehold are a little bit more creature-based than the other two. But yeah. So this is a damn good card. Take it. It's very, very good. It doesn't necessarily put you into these colors. So it is still like a B+, as opposed to an A-, but it is very good. If you are already in these colors, then it becomes, I think, an A-. But yeah. Imperious Ink Mage, 3 mana 3/3 vigilance. When it enters Surveil 2, perfectly fine, serviceable card. Again, probably a C+/B-. I mean, the Signpost cards are generally very powerful for if you're already in those colors. So yeah, keep that in mind. If you're already in these colors, this becomes a higher pick. We're looking for more of like the first pick sort of area. And so yeah, C+ here. Inkling mascot. It's a kitty. It's a putty tat. So here we have this, right? So pure, so we'll go colors 2/2. It has repartee. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature, this creature gains flying until end of turn. Surveil 1. So that's somewhat similar to the fox. So Flutter Fox here. As long as you control an artifact or enchantment, has flying. This one, if you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it gains flying and you Surveil 1. The Surveil 1 is very, very powerful. This one's just a static effect as long as you control an artifact or enchantment, and that was very good. But this one requires a little bit more doing, but the reward is higher. So this is a sweet spell. Again, it's a C+, but it's, if you're already in those colors, it goes up. Killian's Confidence. This is what I splashed for in my Witherbloom deck on Shuffle Up and Play. This is the card I splashed for because this card is gross. All right. Target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn, draw a card. So it replaces itself. It targets a creature for your repartee, but more, it replaces itself, and it can come back. So whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you may pay a white or a black, and if you do, return this card from your graveyard to your hand. It's a card leaving the graveyard for your graveyard synergy, and then as long as you've hit with anything, right, you can bring it back, right? But it draws a card, and that is hard to do for black-white. It's hard to do for green-black as well. So again, you know, if you there's a lot of value generated by the Prismari and Quandrix decks because they have access to a lot of draw effects. This is one of the ways that you can try to keep up. And it's just a really, really good card. So I actually splashed for this card. And this card alone, I believe. I don't believe I had any other white cards in the deck. But I think our deck lists are online for the Shuffle Up and Play pre-release. So you can check it out and let me know if I'm forgetting something. But this is the card I splashed for. I was like, this card is damn good. And I had the mana to do so. So good stuff. So I really like this card. I think it's a B+. I think it's worthy of splashing, clearly. I think if you're in these colors, it's like a slam dunk. I think it might be an A-, but yeah. It's so good. But yeah, no, and you can just get it back later. You don't have to do the damage to the player now. If you can do it later, you'll get it back and start doing more. So yeah. Now again, it's better when you're ahead, of course. Like if you have gone a little bit wider than your opponent, even if you're not so ahead, though, you can still get some value. So, yeah. Render Speechless. I think Amy was playing this one. Yeah, I think Amy was playing this, or Jesse. I forget. But yeah, so target player reveals their hand. I don't think they ever cast it. I believe this was something they discarded. It lets you break parity too. Yes, exactly. The Killian's Confidence. Yes. Kill them with confidence. Ha! Sorry. Anyway, sorry. I have a drinking problem. Okay. I was too excited about the Render Speechless here. Okay. So, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on up to one target creature. It triggers your repartee. It puts 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature. And you get to choose any non-land card from it. That player discards that card. So what we've seen before this is Humiliate at uncommon. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. Put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control. This is not targeting your creature, so that's important. And targeting your creatures is important for repartee in this. So this does target. It's 2 counters instead of 1, but it is an extra 2 mana. So again, this one was uncommon though, and this one is common. So it is a trade-off a little bit there. The thing is though, that this is probably at its best against Prismari and Quandrix, because we're going to be running a lot of expensive spells to trigger the Opus and or just do big things with their fractals. Oh, thanks Duo Kaiser, really appreciate it. Any suggestions for Lorehold pre-release? In particular for Lorehold? the color pair, or like the pre-release for Strixhaven. Specify, sorry. Oh, you chose Lorehold for your pre-release deck. Let me get back to you when we get to Lorehold on this. We're probably going to be there in a little bit. We're doing the gold cards. But yeah, let me get back to you there. So this one I think is best against Prismari, and Pray Lorehold is better than last time. Lorehold could do some stuff in the last one because people stayed away from it. You could actually get the stuff to make it really aggressive. Also, just open Quintorius. Or something. Just kidding. Okay. So again, this card does a lot of things you want it to do. It's not a really high pick. And again, I think it's probably a C+. I don't even think it really graduates to a B-. When you are in those colors. I think it'll go around pretty late. So you can get one if you need it. So, Scolding Administrator. So 2-mana 2/2 Menace. Already nice. Repartee. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature, put a +1 counter on this creature. Nice. When this creature dies, if it had counters on it, put those counters up to one target creature. This is a B+ card. This is fantastic. This does everything I want it to do. Remember that you can, I mean, again, put 2 +1. You can put more +1 counters on various things. Both the green cards and the Silver Quill cards do have +1/+1 type counter payoffs. So like this is one of those that you get to transfer those counters. This is just a really good card. I loves it. Okay. Oh, the charms. All right. So here are the charms. So this is many of the charms are very good. I think the Prismari one's probably the best, but they are so versatile that they're very, very nice. 2 +1 counters on target creature at instant speed. Great. Exile target creature power 2 or less. Great. Each opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. Meh, less important, but can be key, depends. But the first 2 modes are excellent, and I would definitely take this card for that. If I'm in these colors. Again, it's not going to put me into these colors, so it's still B, but it gets to B+ if you're already in those colors /A-. It can be quite powerful, because it exiles is really important. I hate this artwork. I mean, if I could remove this part of it, I'd be fine. This part's fine. These two dudes and all the flying books and the pillars and stuff, fine. I can't stand the way this face is illustrated. I'm so sorry. But yeah, this is a 2/3 for 3, which has Repartee. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature, this creature can't be blocked this turn. And whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card and lose a life. This is a crazy great card. I hate the artwork, but it's a crazy great card. This is a B+, and I really like it. This is fantastic. Let's see a Rouse Eric fanboy. But yeah. Anyway, Social Snub. 3 mana. When you cast a spell while you control a creature, you may copy the spell. Each player sacrifices a creature of their choice, and each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. So the ideal thing that you can do with this is, basically, if they have 1 creature on the board, you just make them sacrifice it and lose a life, and you gain a life. But if you also control a creature, then you can sacrifice that creature, and they will have to sacrifice 2. Right? So this is a trauma dumping from school experiences. Yeah, I mean, a little bit. Absolutely. I mean, this artwork is heart-wrenching. But yeah. Anyway, so this card can be quite painful, and actually you can see Amy cast it on the Shuffle Up and Play episode to devastating effect. So it's a pretty sweet card, especially if they got out a little bit earlier than you, or you know, they've managed to wipe your board and they still have some hunger. So it's good. I think I'm gonna give it a B. It's gotta be set up a little bit, but yeah. Must add an Order of Aristocrats, fair. So Stirring Honormancer, 5 mana 4/5, with a little bit of split here. When this creature enters, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of creatures you control. So you at very least control one when this is in play. Put one of those cards in your hand and the rest into your graveyard. So it's a good way to fill up your graveyard. It's a good way to get card selection. It's a very good card. I do like this one very much. I think it's a B+. And again, that 5 toughness is a very big stat against the red that we've seen. The red does have the 6 damage spell at 5, but that's, you know, a lot already. And you already got the, what do you mean what a mana cost though? This is easy for this set. So it can be 2 double white black or 2 double black white. That's not bad. And 5 mana for a 4/5 that draws you a card is just really nice. Yeah. So, pretty sweet. A Rhino Bard, yeah. Okay, Abstract Paint Mage. So now we're getting into Prismari. We've got the middle thing here, which is sort of correlative to this. So this is a 2/2 at the beginning of your first main phase. Add 2. Spend this mana only to cast instants and sorcery spells. That's dumb. This card is great. This is a B+ card. Could be even, like, I think it graduates to A- in the actual Prismari decks. Like, if you're already in Prismari, this thing's an A-, you gotta slam it. Because there's so many good instants and sorceries that are big at that point, and this just helps you cast all of them. That's dumb. Yeah. Anyway. Elemental Mascot's 3 mana, 1/4 flying vigilance, and it has the Opus, which means on the lower version, it gets +1/+0, and on the bigger version, you exile the top card of your library and you can play that card until the end of your next turn. That is excellent. This one is a B-. This is a really good card. And again, it graduates to like a B if you're in that pair of colors potentially. I don't know how many you want because it's only a 1/4 flying vigilance, but it does block the 3/3 elemental tokens from the opponents. It certainly blocks the inkling tokens. And it blocks a lot of the stuff on the ground. So I really like this thing. That's super cool. I do have to check one thing though. So this one doesn't say instead. So you get both these effects if you spend 5 mana. So when you spend 5 or more mana, you get to exile the top card of your library and play that card until the end of your next turn, but this is also becomes a 2/4 flying vigilance. If I'm reading this correctly. So if you look at the Spectacular Sky Whale here, right? Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, this creature gets +3/+0 until end of turn. If 5 or more mana was spent to cast that spell, put 3 +1/+1 counters on this creature instead. That's a replacement. You don't get the first and the second. But here I think you get the first and the second because it doesn't say instead. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I really like this card. Also, the art is spectacular. Prismari Charm. This is the best of them, I think. This is one of the ones that's probably a I think I want to give this an A- if you're in these colors. Like a definite A- if you're in these colors. Choose one, surveil 2, then draw a card. That's card selection. Surveil 2 can put stuff into the graveyard, do all sorts of things. Deals 1 damage to each of up to 1 or 2 targets. There's a lot of 1 toughness things that we've seen around here. It can also just make, you know, combat better. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Super, super sweet. It's so good. Thank you. But yeah, it's so good. All right, Rapturous Moment. So 6 mana, draw 3 cards, then discard 2 cards, but then add 5 mana back of your 6 that you spent. This is wonderful. I think this card is great. I don't want to run that many, but like there's a the parallel card was like the Rowan and what's it in wow, something. I've got to figure it out. Anyway, hold on a second. I gotta Okay, better. The I think the air conditioning is stirring up a lot of dust that accumulated over the winter when I wasn't air conditioning at all. Or heating. But yeah. Yeah, this will be very good because again it triggers your opus and then you can also cast another thing and discard 2 cards is less, like draw 3, discard 2 is fine. So I do think this is going to be like a B or B plus card, but I don't think you're going to want too many copies of it necessarily. All right. Sonar, Unfinished Genius, 2 mana, 0/4, enters prepared, and you can do the 5 mana, search your library for an instant or sorcery card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle. But it taps to create a treasure token if you've cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn. That is pretty damn good. Whether or not you ever get to the, do the wild idea or care about doing it or have something that you really care about fetching up, that is a really sweet thing. And eventually, if it's creating these treasure tokens, either you're ramping into other big spells or you're ramping into this wild idea such that it is essentially free over time. So I do like this card a lot. I do think it's a B/B plus. It's also, yeah, actually, that's actually important too. There was one card, an uncommon in red, that this is creating treasure tokens. These are among the only artifacts that we've seen in this so far. So, but actually, if we look at the red here, there's an uncommon 4/4 or 3/4. I think it was a 4/4. Yeah. So this one. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you can sacrifice an artifact. You can sacrifice one of those treasure tokens. If you do, copy that spell, and you can choose new targets for the copy. That combines really well with Sonar. So it's very much worth looking at that. But I think this card is very good, so I'm going to go B/B plus. Spectacular Sky Whale. I love this card. This is just gorgeous. Actually, you should look very closely. Look at all the people celebrating and enjoying and waving lights and so on and so forth. It's just such a spectacular thing. I think the artist was selling the original painting. I'm not absolutely certain, but it's so cool. If I could afford something like that, But it's a 1/4 flyer, but whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it gets +3/+0 until end of turn. So whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell on your turn, you attack as a 4/4. Or if you spent 5 or more mana, you get 3 +1/+1 counters instead, so it becomes a 4/7. It's so cool. I really like this card. I think this is a B/B plus. I think it's really, really wonderful. Stadium Tidal Mage. 4 mana, 4/4. When it enters or attacks, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. So when it enters or attacks, you can loot. That's just really solid for a 4 mana, 4/4. I don't like the artwork for this one, but it just, I don't like it. I don't like the face. I don't like them. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, but I think it's a perfectly playable card. I think it's a B-. It's a super fun one. Stress Stream. Yeah, this is literally like school trauma all over again. So, this card is absolutely excellent. It is that 5 mana threshold for your opus. It does 5 damage to up to 1 target creature. That kills a lot of the creatures that we've seen in this. We've seen a couple with 6 toughness, but not many. And look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put one of those in your hand and the other on the bottom of your library. That's fantastic. And this is an instant speed. I love this card. It's a B+. Vibrant Outburst. So 2 mana to deal 3 damage to any target. Tap up to 1 target creature at instant speed. This is also a B+. Can be, like, both of these go up to, I think, A- if you're already in the color. Like, these are so good. This is so sweet. This goes face, remember, too. So keep that in mind. Visionary's Dance, 7 mana. Okay, so here we go. So this is harkening back to the elemental one, which was the I looked it up a while back. I'm sorry. I mean, I have to look it up again, but it's a 7 mana from blue, red, 7. So it was 5 blue, red, common, search, elemental masterpiece. There it is. So this is Harkening back to this card, is a 7 mana, create 2 4/4 blue and red elemental creature tokens, but you could also pay 2 in any combination of blue and red to and discard it to create a basically channel to create a treasure token. So that you could, and you could get it back later. There was a lot of things that recurred stuffs and did things. This is the same idea. 7 mana, sorcery speed, same thing, sorcery. Instead of creating 2 4/4s on the ground, you create 2 3/3s in the air. It doesn't help you ramp. It says to discard this card, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the other into your graveyard. So it's like a sleight of hand, or I think sleight of hand is that? Hold on. Yeah. Bottom, yeah. One of them at the bottom of the library, but this one actually puts one into the graveyard, which is even better because it fills up the graveyard, and red does care about, some of the elements that you're going to be playing are technically lore holds, so they're going to care about like stuff in the graveyard. So this is better there. So it's sort of like a mini, so a sleight of hand, sort of. So good stuff. And you can maybe get it back later with the card that is sort of like a anarchist, which gets a sorcery back or instant from the graveyard. But again, it's nice running these because you can, even if you can't play it early, you can at least get value out of it. Notably, this isn't like casting a spell, so again, you're not going to trigger your opus, but like, there we go. So again, I like this card. I think it's a, I mean, this card, this card was actually like first pickable, oddly. It was very good in that set. I was always really unhappy not to get one in the Prismari decks that I ran. And I often wanted 2 or 3. But yeah. It was just so powerful. So, I don't know about how to rate this yet. Because while these do have evasion, which is better for attacking, this was so good because it gummed up the ground. And that's kind of what you wanted it to do. You wanted bigger, tougher creatures to stop them from attacking, so you could get it in the air with your creature. There was a little blue-red owl that made your instant spells and sorcery spells cheaper. So that was a different play and a different meta. So I don't know how this will go. I actually really don't know how this will go. I'm going to tentatively label it a B- for now. Okay. This is my second favorite card in the set, because it helped win me a lot of games. First favorite, Bear. Second favorite, Bogwater Lumerette. So, this is a Spirit Frog. Again, Spirit regular, relevant creature type, although less for these 2 colors. You're usually in white and red are going to be important there. 2/2. Whenever this creature or another creature you control enters, you gain 1 life. You're gaining a life every turn with this card. You're triggering all the things that care about gaining a life. It is a super high pick in these colors. Super high. At common even, it's still like a B+ pick. Maybe even A-. It is a very good card for this particular deck. And it's cute. So what more can you ask for? So, I did not play with this card. I don't know. Nobody else did either. So this is the version of this, like the others, where we had the hybrid color in the middle. 3/1. When it enters, create a 1/1 black-green pest creature token with, whenever it attacks you, gain 1 life, as all the pest creature tokens in this. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died under your control this turn, draw a card. It's so good. This is a B+ card. This is a very good card. You don't even have to be in like a life gain synergy deck. It's just so good to draw cards whenever creatures die on your turn, because you can flunge in order to draw cards, and that's just so sweet. But again, look at the toughness. One toughness. There's a lot of things that deal 1 damage in this, and it's important to remember that. I think this might have been way too good if they put a 2 toughness, therefore. Grapple with Death. Destroy target artifact or creature, you gain 1 life. So we've got Putrefy. Destroy target artifact or creature, it can't be regenerated. This was at instant speed. It's uncommon. This is at common, and you gain a life instead at sorcery speed. It's great removal. Take it if you're in these, if you can be in these colors or you want to splash this, it's fine. It's a really good unconditional removal spell that also gains you life and triggers all your life gain synergies. So again, B+, can be A- if you're in these colors. Lewin, Exchange Student. 4 mana, 3/4, enters prepared. You can exile a creature card from your graveyard to become prepared again. Only as a sorcery. The Pest Friend. You can just keep making pests and going for that. This is a fine card. I think it's a B/B+. There are fewer exile, fewer synergies for exiling cards from your graveyard, even creature cards or whatever, it doesn't matter. From your graveyard, fewer synergies for doing that. But you do tend to accumulate a ton of creatures in your graveyard from in these particular colors. So decent stuffs. I don't think I would pick this as highly as I pick Grapple or Essence Knit or even Lumerette, but it's still a good card. Yeah. Well, yes, you can prepare it multiple times. As much as you can exile a creature card at sorcery speed from your graveyard and then pay to cast Pest Friend and then exile a creature, you can do it as many times as you want. So I'm just looking at it again, and I think probably it's still as good as... It might be as good as the Lumerette. Yeah. It's still very good. But I cannot express to you how important this card was for my deck. So interesting. So yeah, I want to give it a B+ still. Mind Roots. This is that same artist as the Essence Scatter and the other thing. Cool. Lang? Is that who it was? Yeah, Elliot Lang. Target player discards 2 cards. Put up to 1 land card discarded this way onto the battlefield tapped under your control. So it's a way to ramp into another color, which is pretty sweet. So it's one of the better mind rot type effects that I've seen in a while. So if they discard lands, you get to ramp. So that's pretty cool. So I do like this card. I think it's a B/B-, but I think it's fun. Now, Old Growth Educator is pretty sweet. This is a 4 mana, 4/4 Vigilance Reach. But when it enters, if you gained life, it becomes a 6/6. That is epic too. So, also the artwork is stunning. So yeah, I really like this card. And again, remember that like this thing, when this creature enters, if you gain life, right? So you order the trigger such that you gain life off the Lumerette when the Old Growth Educator enters, and then this trigger will resolve and you gained life, so it becomes a 6/6. So I cannot express how important this Lumerette is. There's so many things that when it enters, if you gain life this turn, and this just triggers that all the time. So like this one, right? You have to suicide the pests in to attack, and then you can play something second main phase to do this stuff, and that's good too. But this just does it on 2 mana, and it just keeps doing it. It's so good. So I despite the fact that that's the common here, I really do highly value that card. So this one is it's a B/B+. Good stuffs. Pest Mascot, 3 mana, 2/3 trample. Whenever you gain life, put a +1 counter on this creature. This looks like the original Strixhaven 2/2 that could get really out of hand. It got +1/+1 when you regained life as well, and it got very out of hand. I don't think it had trample though. I want to go check, but I don't think it had trample. So black, green, 1. Okay, and it was common, and I want Strixhaven. Fiona! Hey, Amazonian! Welcome! Fiona, thank you so much for your sub. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support of the stream. Hello, hello, hello. We were just talking about the we're talking through the set here with our set review, and we were mentioning the Shuffle Up and Play episode. Body slam Amy. You were doing a watch party? That's awesome. No, Amy let me win, as always. Hey, HamHugs42, welcome. Oh god. All right, if you are not following Amazonian, you absolutely should be. There's no excuse for you. I'm so sorry if you're not already doing so, and you do the follow and thank me later. And then we also have HamHawks here, fellow Magic Jank team member, and I'm just an amazing person. So if you're not following HamHawks, again, thank me later. So we're doing a first look here. We're almost through to the we're in the gold of the commons and uncommons. So we're doing this stuff, the raid back in the same day, yes. With HamHawks, yeah. So raiding in circles, exactly. So right now what I'm going to look for is the parallel card to one of the ones that we're seeing here. So what I want is the original Strixhaven, and my caps lock is apparently on. That's not showing it, but it is. Okay, so Blood Researcher. So this one had Menace rather than Trample, which was also really good. But this one could get very out of hand because there were so many things that gained you life in the original Strixhaven and the Witherbloom stuff. So the problem was that they got bounced and you were like, God damn it. But yeah, so 3 mana 2/2, whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So this is harkening back to that. This one's a pest ape. We have different types of pests now, apparently. We have an ape and a badger and like stuffs. So this is a 2/3 rather than a 2/2, which is relevant because red has a shock at 2, and it has a number of other things. So it's just, that is relevant that it is a 2/3. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Again, this is part of why I love this card so much, and I will take it so damn highly. Is Bogwater Lumerate is what enables all of this just for free. It's so nice. But yeah, so this card, you're going to be prioritizing it. This is going to kill me a lot of the time, I'm sure. The one thing, so black will have unconditional removal for this, so will white. Red will be able to remove it only until 6 damage. And green will have to have a big ass creature to stop it. So this is pretty sweet. So again, as long as you have the life gain synergies, this card is fantastic. If you really don't have that many life gain synergies, don't necessarily pick this card. But I think Witherbloom is pretty capable of getting the life gain synergies, but again, that is why you really, 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 really want to prioritize this card. It does so much work for so little investment. So, yeah, great card here, fine for that. So I'm going to give this one a B-. If you are in these colors, it goes up to a B. But yeah. Root Manipulation. Oh, okay. So this is 5 mana until end of turn. Creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain menace. And whenever this creature attacks, you gain 1 life, which can make them bigger, as we've seen here. And that menace is very key. And as you know, menace ends games. Whether this is as good as +2/+2 and trample is debatable. It depends on how wide you've gone. If you've gone wide, it's better than trample. If you haven't gone wide necessarily, then it might not be. So this is a really interesting thing about whether this is better than an overrun, and it might be, because it gains you the life and might do this. So yeah, I think it's a really good card. I'm going to tentatively give it a B+, but you don't want that many of them. So I am going to suggest that this one downgrade plus. So yeah. Teacher's Pest. So 2 mana 1/1 menace. All right, whenever it attacks, you gain 1 life. Perfectly fine because it's harder to block. But this just comes back forever. This is a B+/A-. This is fantastic. So you can just keep getting it back when it dies, which is so sick. Not only is it fodder for some of the rares that we'll talk about later, because again, we have not gone through the rares or mythics yet, but it is so beautiful. So beautiful in that you can keep triggering your lovely best card ever, favorite card besides the bear, Lumerette. So it is so sweet. You can also suicide it in for the Essence Knit Scholar to trigger. So, and draw a card. It's so good. So yes. Great card. Witherbloom Charm. You can sacrifice a permanent if you do draw 2 cards. Sure, fine. Gain 5 life. Destroy target non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. This is one of the weakest ones in my opinion. Sacrifice a permanent, draw 2 cards is its best mode. And gain 5 life at instant speed can be okay, but I think it's the weakest of the charms. It's not bad, but it's one of the weakest of the charms that we've seen so far. I think the Prismari charm is by far the best that we've seen so far, and might still just be best overall if I remember correctly, but this one's one of the weaker ones in my opinion. All right. Now we get into Boros. I'm sorry, Lorehold. Lorehold. I did well on the show to remember the names. Anyway, but someone is asking, okay. Someone was asking, do I have any recommendations if they've already picked a Borehold? Yeah, Borehold, I like it. Borehold. So if you've picked a Lorehold pre-release already, you've already picked out your pre-release because they are doing seeded packs in this pre-release. If you have picked out Lorehold already, what do you want to prioritize? And what you need to know about Boros / Lorehold / Borehold / oh my god, is the following. It rewards you one of the most for filling up your graveyard and having graveyard stuff and exit. So you heavily want to prioritize cards with flashback or cards that do things to remove themselves from the graveyard. That is one of the crazy things you need to do. Like, you need to prioritize those because that's the synergies that you're looking for. You would do well because it's a little bit more complicated to play, therefore. A lot of the other ones, you can see that with Lorehold, it's just play card, gain life, do thing. This one's a little more complicated because you have to figure out when exactly you want to remove the cards from the graveyard. Are you going to have other uses for that card later that you return them, like an instant or sorcery from the graveyard to your hand, like with the Anarchist type card, or etc., right? You also, because you're in white, you'll have some repartee. So you're going to want to be able to target your creatures and or opponent's creatures with removal, and be able to maximize that. You will have access to flyers in white, so you'll have access to a bit of evasion. In white, you'll have access to unconditional removal. In red, you will have access to quite a bit of range of removal. We've seen a 1 damage spell, we've seen a 2 damage spell, we've seen a 4 damage spell, and we've seen a 6 damage spell. So, depending on how many Opus cards you have, you want to see whether you want to include your 5 damage, your 5 mana spells, etc., and things like that. But in general, what you're going to want to do is probably be pretty low to the ground and prioritize a little bit of the less of the Opus because you really need to get in pretty fast. So borrowed knowledge, right? Discard your hand and draw cards equal to the number of cards in target opponent's hand, or discard your hand and draw cards equal to the number of cards discarded this way. This is ass. I think it's more of an EDH card than anything. It's possible that your opponent will be stuck with like 6 cards in hand or like 5 cards in hand because they're in Prismari and they've drawn a lot. But by that time, you've emptied your hand and maybe you get this to go. But it's so situational that I really think you shouldn't prioritize this for 4 mana. That's not what I would do. But you know, again, you may have your own opinion. I think this one is like a C card. I don't think I would run this. So the only thing to keep in mind is that, yes, if you were just discarding your hand, at least it fills up the graveyard with something and you can draw new cards. So if you flooded, this is good. So again, there are some use cases. It's just a little bit situational. The art is stunning, though. Colossus of the Blood Age. So 6 mana, 6/6. When this enters, it deals 3 damage to each opponent. You gain 3 life. Okay. That feels more like a Witherbloom card, but okay. But it does deal 3 damage to opponent. 6 mana for a 6/6 is roughly decent. When it dies, discard any number of cards, then draw that many cards +1. That's nice. But there is a destroy target artifact for 2. We did see that in green already. I don't know how many people run it main deck, but destroy target artifact for 2 just makes this really interesting to run. But yeah, it's fine. But I think Lorehold does not necessarily want to run a 6-drop. It might run it 1 as a top end, but I'm not hugely a fan of this card. As far as the uncommons that we've seen that are signposts, it's one of the weakest that we've seen. Period. So I'm not sure how to rank this card yet. For now, I'm gonna put it as a C+. I think I might run 1, but I would have to be, it'd have to be like the 23rd, 24th card. Kirill, history buff, 2-3 rather. Already good stats. Whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, it becomes prepared. Here's that, like, leaving the graveyard becomes prepared. You can mill a card, put 2+1/+1 counters on target creature, gains trample, and tell them, this card's fantastic. So this is a B+/A-. So again, B+ if you're just taking it for the first, it's not going to put you in this color pairing necessarily, but if you are already in this color pairing, it goes up to an A-. So yes. Yeah, buff creatures. Okay, sorry. Good stuff. Lorehold Charm. Each opponent sacrifices a non-token artifact of their choice. I very rarely see that being relevant here. Dry Jessica. Return target artifact or creature card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. That seems more relevant. And of course, the creatures you control get +1/+1, gain trample into end of turn. That's definitely relevant. So that the charge effect type here, along with the trample, is very good. So for Boros, Lorehold. Wet. Not wet. Dry Jeskai. So yeah. So again, this one's gonna be a B. It's fine. It does what you want it to do. Molten Note, X and 2. Okay. Just dry. Deals damage to target creature equal to the amount of mana spent to cast this spell. Untap all creatures you control. Okay, so that means if you spend 4, it's dealing 4 damage. This is really nice. Remember, it's not doing X, it's doing 4. And then the flashback can be huge. I rarely see this being flashback at 8 in Lorehold, but yeah. And untap all creatures you control. It is at sorcery speed, but that does mean that you can do a large attack, finish off one of the creatures that you need to finish off, or kill something that didn't block, and then untap and give Ursat's Vigilance to all your things. I do like this card. I do think this is a B+ in this color pair. It defaults to red-white, deal 2. Yes. And untap all creatures you control. Of course, sorcery speed, so remember that. Practiced Scrollsmith. Again, this is the correlative to the hybrids that we've seen before. 3 mana 3/2 first strike. That's nice. I thought they stopped doing first strike except on your turn. That's pretty interesting. When this creature enters, exile target non-creature non-land card from your graveyard. Until the end of your next turn, you can cast a card. This card is sick. This card is messed up. This is fantastic. Not only does it exile a card from your graveyard, which again, you get all those triggers of like whenever a card leaves your graveyard, but you can then cast that, probably removal spell, right? Or, targeted spell for your repartee, into oh god, that's so good. This is so good. I'm gonna give this an A-. I think this card, yeah. Okay, so this is one of the cards you're definitely hoping you open if you're opening a Lorehold pre-release kit. It's a spear. So basically it's a spear. That's why the hand is backward. He's or she or he or they are throwing it. So that's this position of like, you've got a thing and you're actually like it's a javelineer type thing. That's how I interpret it. It's not a sword, it's a javelin. So this card is sick. God, I think I want to run this in like an EDH deck. I think this is so good. Oh yeah, it's splashable. It's crazy. I love this card. It does everything that this color pair wants to do. This is fantastic. That is a really good one. All right, pursue the past. You gain 2 life. You can discard a card. If you do, draw 2 cards. So this is and it has flashback, so it can leave the graveyard. This is fine. It's a tormented voice type idea. But you don't have to discard a card, which is fun, because you can just gain the 2 life, which might be relevant, who knows? But it is also casting a sorcery, which triggers you the lower part of the opus. It's a flashback card, which means you can trigger the cards leaving the graveyard. And you can choose either time to discard or not discard, so that's pretty sweet. So this is a C+. It's a perfectly runnable card. Might even graduate to B-, depending on the build of your deck. Spirit Mascot. All right, it's a 2/2 for Allure Hold colors. It's a spirit, which is a relevant creature type. Whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, put a plus 1/+1 counter on this creature. Yeah, see? I mean, like I said, the flashback is so important. It says or more, yes. You're not going to be able to remove like 3 cards from your graveyard and put 3 plus 1/+1 counters on it. It's just whenever 1 or more cards leave. But if you can do the instance of 1 or more cards leaving, if you can flashback 1 card and then flashback another card, you'll get 2 counters. So this is a lovely little card for this thing. I think this one is a B- for this particular color pair. This is a sweet one. It's all like belligerent and stuff, which is awesome. Belligerent. No, sorry, it's not. Okay. Anyway. Startled Relic. So startled. Such wow. So this is a 4-mana trample lifelink 4/4, which is already a good ROI. And then you have at the beginning of combat on your turn, exile up to 1. So you don't have to do it. It's up to 1 if you can get the benefit target card from a graveyard. So you can take out their things that have recursion, or you can take out one thing from your graveyard in order to get that trigger on your little ox. Great card. I love this card. This is a B+ in this deck. Maybe an A- if you're already in the colors. All right. Wilt in the Heat. That is not a happy vampire. For one thing, it's out in the sun. Anyway, 4 mana, costs 2 less to cast if 1 or more cards left your graveyard this turn. Deals 5 damage to target creature. If that creature would die this turn, exile it instead. So if a card left your graveyard, like for example for free like this at the beginning of combat, then after that you can play and do 5 damage and exile a creature if it dies at instant speed. That's pretty sweet. Or during combat, it depends because it's an instant. I like this card. This card is great. This is a B/B+ in these colors. All right, so now we get into Simic. Cuboid Colony. All right, so this is a 1/1 flash flying trample increment. So, not having death touch is a crime. Yeah, it's not an ambush viper, okay? It's not an ambush viper. So we're thinking of like 2 mana, flash it in, death touch something, right? There's the vipers that do that. There's a bunch of them, like like a coatl and things like that. The snakes. This is not a danger noodle. This is a killer bees. So this is something that you flash in and then you make bigger, better, faster, stronger over time. So for example, on turn 3, maybe they attack with a pest. You flash this in and cast an instant that is, sorry, on turn 4, you flash this in, cast an instant that's 2. It becomes a 2/2 and whatever buff you gave it. So yeah, some colony doesn't. Yeah. But that is also a possibility. It's a possibility that you can just flash it into block at one point and just be like, okay, I'm not dead. But this getting bigger, better, faster, stronger is crazy. It's flying and trample and it has increment and it's a 1/1 for 2. That seems pretty good to me. And they're not expecting it. Nobody expects the cuboid colony. It's chief weapon of surprise. But yeah. Seems a decent card to me. I think it's a B. I just heard myself. Okay. Like it's a solid B. Lol. Hey, Caitlin. Oh, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Hi, Claymore. Just missing the pest creature type. No. It's an insect. It makes sense. B. I give it a B. Okay. Anyway, that's a card. Embrace the Paradox. So 5 mana, draw 3 cards. You can put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped at instant speed. So we had in the original Strixhaven, we had 2 in a blue and a green. We had a common at Strix. Where's the original Strixhaven? What was the what was the dang thing? There we go. I did get it right. Okay. So we had a eureka moment here. Draw 2 cards. You can put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield at instant speed. Now, I really liked this card. This card was epically good. 4 mana, draw 2 cards at instant speed, and put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield was gross. This one, at 5, it is draw 3 cards instead of 2. So you get 1 more card for 1 more mana and put a land on the battlefield. I would prefer to be ramping on 4. Even though I draw 1 fewer card, I really think I wish that this were still Eureka Moment instead of Embrace the Paradox. This is still a great card. You should still take it, and it's good, but I don't think Tapped is overdoing it. This one was also not tapped, and I think this card is just much better. So I would have preferred Eureka Moment. They're not necessarily nerfed Growth Spire. I still like Eureka Moment in Limited a little bit better than Growth Spire some of the time, just because it's more cards that you're seeing for this. No, I still like Growth Spire, but yeah. But if you are doing the 5 mana value thing to trigger your Opus, that is important. But I still like the other one better. That's not to say this is bad. This is still something you're definitely going to take. It's a good effect. It fills up your hand. It allows you to ramp. Yeah. And you do it at the end of their turn, holding up a counterspell for something, for example, in the meantime, because there is a counterspell in this. There's Essence Scatter, and there's the 4 mana one that can be reduced to 2 if it targets an instant or sorcery. So, yeah. I do like this card, like I said. It's just... I want nice things. Anyway, power creep for some, not power creep for others. But again, it does trigger the bigger part of your Opus triggers, so that's nice. So again, I think this is going to be a B, potentially B+. Fractal Mascot, 6 mana, 6/6 trample. When it enters, tap target creature an opponent controls, put a stun counter on it. That's a big one. Fine card. I still prefer the little blue Frostlinks type thing. Boomerangers type thing. Snowballers, that was. But yeah, it's still a fine card. It's big. But I want my moose back. Where's my moose? Flash, Vigilance, Reach, Trample, 6/6 for 6. But yeah, this is a fine card. I'm not super impressed with it because, again, I think Quandrix really prefers to play instants and sorceries to get the max value. But yeah, it's a fine card. I'm gonna go C+. Fractal Tender, Elf Wizard. Wizard is a relevant creature type in some places. 5 mana, 3/3, Ward 2, but it has Increment. I'm less impressed with 5 mana for a 3/3, even with Ward 2 with Increment. But at the beginning of each end step, if you put a counter on this creature this turn, create a... Oh. Well, that could get out of hand real fast. Okay. So, one of the things to remember with this is that we did see in white, the lovely uncommon that I think is wonderful. We saw this. So if you are splashing for Bant, you can in fact start triggering tokens entering the battlefield and pumping things with a Spirit Call enthusiast. The Ward 2 does matter because again we have the 3 damage spell to stuff. We have the -3/-3 in black, the last gasp. So that does matter here. It needs to stay alive to the next turn for you to be able to play at least a 4-drop spell. Yes, it puts you in 3 colors. Splashing in this is not hard. But yeah, so I think that there's a lot of really quite expensive spells potentially that would make this very good, but it does have to survive. So you have to cast a 4 cost the next turn, and or something greater to be able to trigger it. But if it even gets 1 trigger, I think it's doing very, very well. So I do think this one's a little bit situational. I want to give it a B/B-. But it actually could take over quite easily because again, a lot of Quandrix stuff is going to cost that much, and there's a lot of instant and sorcery cost reduction and ramp in this. So again, keep that in mind, that you get the little frog. It's not a frog, it's a newt. She turned me into a newt. Sorry. Here, let me find it for you. So you have not only the merfolk, the 1/3, you have this that can cast an instant or sorcery spell. You have the frog and green, not frog, newt, still a newt, has not changed. Noxious newt to ramp. So you might be casting this a little bit earlier than turn 5. Build a bridge out of her, yeah. Very small rocks. Sorry. So yeah, if we, I think you might get more use out of this than it first appears. For now, I'm going to give it a B/B-, but it could get higher in the actual usage. I will have to see how it goes. Somebody fetch a duck. All right, here we go. Growth curve. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, then double the number of +1/+1 counters on that creature. So at the very least, you're going to get 2. I got better. Yeah. So, at the very least, you're going to get 2. That's not bad for 2, but it's sorcery speed. But for example, if you can target a fractal, usually they're going to have at least 3 counters on them. So if you put a counter on them and then double the counters, that's an 8/8 already. So that's pretty sick. So I need to see a little bit more of like how the set plays to figure out exactly how good this is, but I'm going to start with a B and then move up from there. There's a very good 1-drop in green. Especially in black too, actually. This one's fantastic. That's my favorite card in the set. And then there is in green, what was it? Where was it? I think it was one of the hybrids, maybe. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just making this up. Anyway. I think it was a 1-mana black card, actually. That was really good as a 1-drop. It was not uncommon. So put a +1/+1 counter on target because you could. So this could be very good. What do you mean you can't have a hybrid 1-drop? Yeah, that's what hybrid is. What's the Cantor? There you go. Originally from Guild Pact with slightly more intense art. Look at that face. But yeah. And yeah, Figure of Destiny is another one. I was just going for a common. You just woke up, fair. So growth curve, again, not sure where to rank this, but I'm going to give it a B to start with. It might be less. So here's Paradox Surveyor. This is the hybrid, so we assume it's going to be strong because I think they've made each of those pretty strong. Reach 3/3, fine. When it enters, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a land card or a card with X in its mana cost from them and put it into your hand. Yeah, that's good. I will whiff on this card more than I'd like, but there we are. There are a lot of X spells in Quandrix, so that's not so bad. But again, 3/3 for reach for 3 is not like this is one of the weaker ones in my opinion that we've seen so far of the hybrids. So I do like it. I do think it's very good. I do think it's a B/B plus. But it is nowhere near, in my opinion, the power level of this card, for example. This card is wacky. And it is nowhere near the power level of this card. Card also very, very good. And I don't think it's as good as this card for the deck that it's in. This is pretty good. Yeah, it is land card, not basic land, but it is limited to the 5 cards. But it could also be an X spell. So again, it could be much better than I think it is, but I think it's just, I think on the face of it compared to the other cards is weaker. I still don't think it's bad. We're just ranking in terms of like this, but like, yeah. So again, I think this is one of the worst ones that I've seen of the hybrid stuff. I think they've all been very, very strong, and this one's just slightly less. So again, still a B/B plus, but just not quite on the level of the others. Proctor's Gaze. Look at that artwork. That is spectacular. Very interesting style. So 4 mana, return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Okay, I like that. Again, there's a lot of fractals that you could put away. That'd be really sweet. Again, putting away... bouncing stuff in the set is very dangerous because you could get something back to... Everything is an ETB and, like, things prepare and, like, re-prepare and stuff, and that would be annoying. But this ramps you and potentially fixes your mana, because again, basic land card, you can just fetch up your 3rd color or 4th color, whatever it is. But you can also bounce a non-land permanent, so it doesn't have to be a creature. And again, there's a lot of tokens to bounce here, so it's pretty good. So I'm gonna give this a B/B plus. Terrafractal. Okay, Prof played this, or wanted to play this one at some point. So this is X and then 2. So we've got 1/0 flyer and enters with X +1/+1 counters on it. When this creature enters, you gain 2 life. That's a really nice scalable card that also gains you life. Perfectly splashable in the Witherbloom decks for that reason. But also they're putting the gaining life on some things that aren't Witherbloom so that you can trigger the green cards that are mono green that also care about infusion or whatever it is. But this is a really good one with the growth curve, which is pretty cool. I do like that. Like I said, if you cast this with 3 counters or 5 mana, it becomes a 4/3, and then you can double the counters, which is kind of crazy. So, and it has evasion, and it's a dinosaur fractal. There we are. Patera. So that is pretty nice. I would have preferred I would have preferred +1 toughness, because again, like I said, there's the last gas, which is -3/-3, and the sort of strangle reprint essentially. So like I think that I would have preferred 1 more toughness than power. But yeah, this is a good card. I think it's probably going to be for me like a B/B-, so heavier on the B side than the B-. Quandrix Charm. Okay, counter-target spell unless this controller pays 2. Fine, as we got a miscalc on a stick. Okay, destroy target enchantment and target creature has base power and toughness 5/5 until end of turn. I think the miscalc is worth it. There are very few things in this set that we've seen that destroy target enchantment, so I'm actually really happy with that, because Prof did play an enchantment that I would like to kill. I think the artifact that both Amy and Prof played was scarier, the freaking recurring nightmare type thing. But I have seen some enchantments that I definitely want off the board, so I do like this one. I think this is a B/B+. All right, we've got Tam here. 4 mana 4/3. Whenever a land you control enters, it becomes repaired. You draw a card and gain 1 life. Holy shit! All right, this is an A-. This card is fantastic. All right. Okay. Build your own Tamio. Tatiova, right, Tatiova. Build your own Tatiova. That's what I meant. Thank you. Thank you. That was a good correction. Tamiova, yeah. This is a great card at Uncommon. That's fantastic. Okay, so now we get to the colorless. So we get to the archaics, which is part of the story. So online you can go look up the story of Strixhaven. It's told in parts. You can read as many or as few parts as you'd like, which I think is really nice. They're very episodic. I haven't read any of them, but I've heard they're great. I haven't had time. I wish I've had time. Amy probably has. Amy's probably read them. Rancorous Archaic, 5 mana 2/2 trample reach. It enters with a +1/+1 counter for each color of mana spent to cast it. So you can be a 5 mana 5/5 trample reach. Perfectly serviceable, not exciting. Again, I'm gonna go with C+. Sundering Archaic. This thing is great. So this is a 6 mana 3/3, but when it enters, exile target non-land permanent opponent controls with mana value less than or equal to the number of colors of mana spent to cast this creature. So non-land permanent can be creature or anything else, which is really, really important. If you pay 3 to cast this, again, that's actually going to be removal on a stick. So I do like this. Are they related to the Eldrazi? No. No, I don't believe they're related to the Eldrazi. They look freaking weird. Multiple arms and hands, these weird like lobe things on the face. We did see Archaic in the first set. We saw Wandering Archaic. Fly the path of 9 birds, whatever that means. And we can turn this. The other side was explore the vast lands. So we did see this before. This is what it looks like. It kind of looks like that. But then since then, we've seen a bunch more. Like Teachings of the Archaics is here too. Boundless knowledge of history and magic. Dispensed only in cryptic metaphors, of course, like Sphinges. And then we saw one in Commander Masters or whatever it is. Yeah, this Commander Masters, which is a fun one in our Eldrazi decks. So this was in an Eldrazi deck. I don't think they're related to Eldrazi necessarily. But yeah, the Eldrazi, so the Archaics rather, have gotten very, very upset for some reason and are doing stuffs. That's all I know. But yeah, this one has a lot of utility because for the 3 mana extra, so let's say you're paying 3 mana for a 3/3, but for the 3 mana extra here, as long as you spend 3, you can exile a non-land permanent with mana value 3 or less. So exiling was really important because they don't get the graveyard synergy value out of it, and you can also make sure you don't. This can trigger like a card leaving the graveyard for your Boros decks, and it can also trigger make sure that you get remove stuff from their stuff, and it can also make sure you don't mill out. Transcendent Archaic, 7 mana 6/6 vigilance. When it enters, you can draw X cards, where X is the number of colors of mana spent to cast this spell. If you draw 1 or more cards this way, discard 2 cards. So if you pay 3 mana, 3 colors to cast this, right? You'll draw 3 cards and then discard 2. It's fine. I prefer this card. So this one I think I give probably a... Oh, I think I already rated it? I have no idea. I'm going to give this a B. This one I'm going to give a B-/C+. Biblioplex Tome Keeper. Okay, so now we get into the artifacts. I don't think I've seen many of the artifacts. Well, you have the bear that fixes with rampant growth. You have we've gone through several things that fetch lands, basic lands, etc. And there are also double colored lands at common that surveil in the college colors. So Biblioplex Tome Keepers, 4 mana 3/4. When it enters, choose up to 1. So here's the thing: target creature becomes prepared, or target creature becomes unprepared. People were asking, is there a way to prepare a creature again, which without it being something that can prepare itself again? And this is one of the only ways. So you can unprepare a creature, meaning they don't get that prepare value, or you can prepare a creature again. So this is one of the only ways. So take that for what you will. It's not bad. This is pretty sweet as far as just like being able to get that value. So it is playable. No, but this is the only one that says prepare or unprepare. You can bounce creatures. You can put creatures on top of libraries. You can do a slight flicker effect at sorcery speed and white. But yeah. So yeah, this is one of the only ones that actually just says target creature becomes prepared or unprepared. So that's an interesting one. Again, depends on your deck. I'm going to give it definitely a B-. I think that has some definite uses there. But yeah. Diary of Dreams. 2 mana. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, put a page counter on this artifact. And you can pay 5 and draw a card, but it will cost less for each page counter on it. So for each instance of sorcery that you cast while this is in play, your drawing a card effect will be cheaper. I don't know how to rank this one yet. And it is also worth remembering that in green, we have definitely seen artifact destruction at common. This Glorious Decay here. So it is worth remembering that. I don't think a lot of people are going to run more than one copy of that main board. I'm certainly happy to run one copy of it main board because it does a lot of stuffs. But, and deals with flyers in green. So, I don't know how to rank this one. I feel like it's okay. I'm gonna go with B-/C+, but it could be better than I think it is. All right. Mage Tower Referee, 2 minutes, 2/1 construct. Whenever you cast a multicolored spell, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. That can grow pretty quickly because a lot of, you know, there's so many signposts and you're often casting multicolored spells. I still want to give it a C+. I think it's perfectly playable. I just don't think it's exciting. Page Loose Leaf. My goal is to get like 1 million of these in one draft just to do bullshit. Like, it's just really funny. So it is a 2 mana O2 ramper. It only adds colorless, but is a ramper. And then if you get another one, because it is legendary, you can do Grandeur, which is a returning mechanic. You may, if you're old like me, remember Grandeur from I want to say, so the Tarox, is that what it was called? Yeah. So in Future Sight, they did this Grandeur thing where on legendary, some legendary creatures, including a black creature that was like Hakon Strongblade or something like that. I forget what it is, but they had Grandeur where you could discard another card named this and get a value from it. So it didn't punish you for having 2 of the same legendary. So you could run 4 of this legendary in a deck and still get value. But this is Grandeur here. Discard another card named Page Loose Leaf. Reveals cards from the top of your library until you reveal an instant or sorcery card. Put that card into your hand and the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. So this is a really fun card. I really love the design of this card. It is so much fun. Because again, you can fill up your graveyard while also finding instants and sorceries, and you don't worry about, you know, playing a second legendary of the same in your deck. So it is kind of cool. I don't know how highly I'm going to pick this. I really want to have fun with it, but I do think it's a little bit of a meme. It does ramp you in any of your colors, so that, like, it doesn't provide a color, but in any color deck you can run it. So if you need ramp, it's cool. Well, Grandeur, Grandeur is discard another card named this, and then something happens. So they always have to, like, tell you what happens. But yeah. Anyway, I think I'm gonna give this a C+. I think it doesn't go much higher than that, but I could be so wrong. And I really love this and want to do things with it. We'll see. So Potioner's Trove, 3 mana rock. You gain 2 life. Activate only if you've cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn. That's interesting. I don't see this being terribly playable for me. Again, in Witherbloom, the gaining 2 life is most relevant, and I don't think Witherbloom needs this card. Would rather run like anything other than this card that gains life to do things with. But, you know, if you need to fix for a 3rd color, if you need to ramp, sure. And, you know, incidental life gain off of every instant or sorcery in a Prismari deck or a Quandrix deck might be good. But then you're not using this to... You have to tap it to gain the 2 life. I don't know. So then you're not using it to ramp. I have no idea what I think about that card. I'm gonna go with C+. Yeah. All right, Strixhaven Sky Coach. We got a vehicle now. This is right before we get into the land, so you can see some of the fixing. So it's a 3-mana 3/2 flyer. Okay, but crew 2, not great. But when it enters, you can search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. That's worth it, right? For fixing. I like this card. It also blocks Inklings really well and will trade at least with one of the 3/3 elementals with flying. So that seems fine to me. I think this is pretty cool. So I'm going to give it a B/B minus. I think if you really need it for fixing, great. And to make sure you hit your land drop, nice. It doesn't ramp you, so seems fine. Fields of Strife. So here's the surveil lands for the colleges. So yeah, I mean, these are good cards. You do want to prioritize picking these cards in draft. These are the surveillance were always pretty useful in the original Strixhaven, so I would imagine it's no different here. Not only is it fixing, but the surveil later on when like you're at a board stall or you really just need to make sure you hit something, it's good. They were cheaper? I don't think so. Yeah, it was 4 tap, scry 1. Here it's surveil 1, which is extra relevant because you can fill up your graveyard for the graveyard synergies. So yeah. And it was 4 of any color, notably, which was, you know, this one does require you to, you know, expend the Lorehold colors, but still really good, and also allows you to run that 3rd color if you need a splash. So those are all going to be nice picks. I think this is the most stunning art that of any of them. They're all really nice, really nice. But I think this form of Amity is so gorgeous. All right. So Sky Coach Waypoint. Look, target creature becomes prepared. This is going to be super high priority as long as your deck can afford having a colorless land in it. And as long as you have a prepared deck, like enough prepared synergies that the cost of having a colorless land in your deck is outweighed, right? So there's the land. There's this second, I think it's the only other, I'm not absolutely certain, but it's the only other one that I remember that prepares a creature again. So it does cost 4 mana to do so because you have to tap this as well. But it becomes prepared. So here's the Prismari version, Terramorphic Expanse. And then we have the Mystical Archive. God damn, I forgot about the Mystical Archive. I don't know how much longer I can talk. Wait, let me just see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it's not too many cards, and they're all reprints. Basically, a lot of these are really damn good, and you want to take them. This is getting into the commander. Okay, so give me a second. I can do this. Pretty sure my voice can do this. All right, let me drink some tea. Okay, so no matter what you open in the set, one of the things that you're going to be guaranteed to get is stunning artwork on the Strixhaven Mystical Archives. Stunning, amazing artwork. Look at this, for example. It is absolutely beautiful. So this is Duty Beyond Death, which was from Tarkir Dragonstorm, and allow you to sacrifice a creature. Creatures you control gain indestructible. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. This was sometimes just the way Boros just crushed in that. It was, so I imagine Lorehold will like this again too, as well as probably Silverquill. But you just sacrifice a creature, whatever they targeted, or for example, and then everything else gains indestructible, and you put a +1/+1 counter on each. It won so many combats. It was so nice, as long as you went slightly wide. Helping Hand. Return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. That's really, really nice. You can come back, bring back a prepared creature, right? Or something like that. So it's just value card, Helping Hand. And then this is Dominic Meyer art, and you can always tell. I think, so they feature a lot of Dominic Meyer art in the Mystical Archive. And I think a lot of for the sort of general aesthetic to be similar, they did a lot of artists that have somewhat similar styles. You can see the color blocking here that happens a lot, and the heavy contrast, and the featuring of random designs. It's not random. They do have meaning, but I mean, just sort of like you have random swords falling here, right? And a random sword here design, and then like a geometric pattern here. So same thing, you have this interesting geometric pattern at the bottom here, and like semi like Irish inspired down there, and then you have the like arrows coming in and breaking off on the sort of sun like symbol or shield like symbol behind. It's cool. It's really cool what they did with this. So anyway, hop to it, make bunnies. Okay, so these are tokens, remember, and tokens matter for that one uncommon in particular in white that is so crazy. But this is a good way to go wide and then make the Duty Beyond Death really quite lovely. But that was just a fun one. It doesn't have the same synergies that it had in Bloomburrow with like bunnies getting buffed or, you know, doing X, Y, and Z, but it's still fun. Repel Calamity, also from Bloomburrow. Destroy target creature with power or toughness 4 or greater. Really nice. Requisition Raid, my favorite card from OTJ, besides another one that they actually reprinted, which was Return the Favor. That's going to be in this as well. But I love this card. This is fantastic. Deduce here is back. Draw a card, investigate. Really sweet. And again, it will trigger your Opus. Give you a clue here. Disdainful Stroke is back. You got to be very careful about that in this format. Counter target spell with mana value 4 or greater at 2 mana is pretty crippling against Quandrix and Prismari. That's just a huge advantage to stop something for 2 mana that they're paying 6 or so to like cast. Sleight of Hand is back. Spell Pierce. Counter target non, and if they can counter your 6-drop for 1 mana, even worse. But again, the artwork is all stunning, as you can see. So we have Stock Up. This is one of the money cards in paper, okay? Stock Up is being reprinted with amazing artwork. Again, Dominic Meyer here. We've got Dominic Meyer there. We've got similar sort of styles here. But we got so many Dominic Meyers with Deduce and so on. But Stock Up is being reprinted, which is really good. We'll bring down the card price a little bit in theory, but this is also new art, so that might not bring it down as much as we'd like. Well, Delirium, there's a mana drain light in the rares and mythics for this set. Bitter Triumph being reprinted with epic artwork as well. That's a really nice reprint. This is a very good removal spell and triggers a lot of good stuffs. Feed the Swarm, target creature or enchantment, lose life equal to its mana value. Again, good stuff, great art. I'm not really going to go into like exactly where I would rank these necessarily, just because A, my voice is running out of gas, and B, you have seen these cards played before. They're more recently printed, most of them. Locust Spray, -1/-1, but it gains cycling. It has cycling, so if it's not relevant, you can just get something else. Mana Drain at home, need a wizard and cost 3. Exactly. Yeah, I think it's Mana Sculpt. I forget the name. I haven't played with it, and none of us played it on Shuffle Up and Play. So, Stargaze, that was a Bloomburrow card as well. Had a bat on the previous artwork. At 2, it's worse than Sign in Blood. Read the Bones, sorry, but at anything greater than you're starting to mass value. Zombify reprint. It's from your graveyard, but you know Zombify is always a classic. Abrade, great card. Period. Take it. It's good. Bulk Up, also from Bloomburrow, double, and then you also from Foundations. Double target creature's power until end of turn, and you also have flashback. The flashback really makes it relevant for Boros. Burst Lightning, damn good card, no matter what. Also most recently preprinted in Foundations. Monstrous Rage, banned card. Banned card. Sick card, really, really good. And that artwork, Jesus Christ. Here's Return the Favor. This is my other favorite card from OTJ. I adored being able to do these. They're so good. It was so much fun to just redirect their removal. It was so good and limited. So I do like having access to this card here. Giant Growth, not my favorite. This one is the one artwork that, for me, they missed on. There's a lot of people who would love this particular version of a squirrel, but they've done so many better ones. So here's, let me find you my favorite. I think it was Deterlizy. That was my favorite one. View all prints. Where's my favorite? This one. Yeah. This is my favorite Giant Growth art ever. This mouse is like, you talking to me? And the dragon's like, I was. I am no longer talking to you. But yeah, this is so good. You what, mate? Yeah. This is my favorite. It is so perfect. But yeah, this one, it's just the squirrel looks icky. It's got like green glowing eye and is like, it's like flat on one side. I don't know. Why did it suddenly become flat when every other version of it has like a tummy? I don't understand. Like, oh wait, no, that's not a tummy, it's its leg. I see what's happening here. I don't like this art. I'm sorry. Apologies to Alex Stone. Knockout Maneuver. So this was +1/+1 counter, and then it punches, which is great. And yeah, that artwork is stunning. The lion and the unicorn, super amazing. The stylized one, super cool. And then so this was a great card in its particular form, but it's also really good here. Pick Your Poison, nice reprint from Manor, Murders at Karlov Manor. Each opponent sacrifice an artifact of their choice, sacrifice an enchantment, or sacrifice a creature flying. There's almost always going to be a relevance to this. In I think it's a sideboard card still. In best of 3 it's going to be great. But I do think there's enough of these that, you know, that green really wants to deal with. Royal Treatment, again, from Woe, just like Monstrous Rage. Crazy good card to give hexproof and the Royal Roll token. And especially if you have a bomb, it is very important to protect that, because a lot of the removal just won't they won't get enough of it to deal with that, and sometimes that can just change the course of the game. Shared Roots being reprinted from Avatar. Search your library for a basic land card, put it onto battlefield, tap, then shuffle. So it's just very good. It's just rampant growth, but in a new form, but also a lesson. So triggers that. And then we get into the commander. Okay, so that's the common and uncommons. That's the end of all the commons and uncommons from the main set and the mystical archives. So we made it through all of them in one day. That is crazy. I don't even know how many that is. Hold on, let's check. Let us check. 191 cards, and that's not counting the Strixhaven. Oh, here's the one mana that I was actually talking about. This is the one that I think is quite good. But we were looking at green, so. Rampant growth. Rampant growth is what you're thinking of. But yeah, so we will be going over tonight the rares and mythics. It's technically evening already. I gotta get some sleep, but we made it through all of them. I didn't know that I thought I was only gonna make it through like half, and that I was never gonna make it through the rares and mythics in time before the before the early access event tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. But make sure you put that on your calendars tomorrow, and you'll watch your favorite streamers doing early access. It'll be really fun. But we did make it through, and we will be doing the rares and mythics coming up. So we will be jamming the rares and mythics. And when I said I just want to cover this one because it's the first one, this one you saw Amy play on Shuffle Up and Play. This is what I mean when I said spirit was actually a relevant creature type, because this rare looks for your spirits. It says put a +1/+1 counter on each spirit you control, not just the ones that you made that turn. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, so we have some cool things to talk about as far as the rares. I do think some are being undervalued a little bit, like this Emeritus of Truce underneath. Like, I think this card is freaking sick. And I think a lot of people were like, oh, it's not that good. And I was like, excuse me? But yeah. So, okay. So again, for the person who was asking about Lorehold, I hope I answered some of your questions, but the long and short of any sealed is open bonkers rares and mythics and hope you draw a good sequence of cards. Like, sealed unfortunately has gotten so much worse these days because of play boosters that it really is just a really high variance, like almost pure variance format. You got a good idea. Excellent. So just have fun, play the cards you want to play, enjoy yourself, and understand that, you know, even if you don't win, it's not necessarily something you did, it's just a little bit of variance. And that just happens. Sometimes people just get better pools than you and there's nothing you can do. Absolutely nothing. Or you miss a couple land drops, and these days it's just so fast as far as power that just puts you too far behind. But yes, also try not to open too many of the rare lands as your rares. I actually had one a long time ago where I opened like, the thing is the shocks were money at least. So there was that, but like I opened like several shocks in a sealed event, and I was just like, oh man, that sucks. But yeah, there's just so many things. So yeah, I will stop talking. Everybody knows how much I hate play boosters by this point. But yeah, it really ruined sealed completely, and it's bad for draft. It's really bad for draft, and I hate it. But it absolutely destroyed sealed. But yes, anyway. So this Antiquities on Loose, that when I kept saying that like spirit's a relevant creature type, this is one of the things that I mean, and it is really cool, and the artwork is spectacular. So yeah, they have some alt arts in the collector boosters that are really interesting. You can see people opening. I think there's a lot of creators opening on YouTube right now. If you want to see some collector booster boxes open to see different treatments that you could get, including the Japanese foil mystical archives, which is pretty cool with the Japanese art, and like there's some really cool stuff that they're putting out with this one. I do think the collector booster boxes are way overpriced because it's freaking in universe and they're like $480, and that is unacceptable. I remember when collector booster boxes maxed out at $200 for the most exciting sets. Like, if you had to pay like yeah. God damn it. Anyway. I'm so old. Anyway, so here's to my dream of a better Lumerette plush. So yeah. Anyway. Oh, ow. Yeah, Saffron Olive, Seth did 5 boxes and profited off the first at like $480, and like the first one was like $150 up, but everything else was between $30 and $150 down. So I did see that. But I mean, compared to some other boxes, that's not that bad. As some of the collector booster boxes recently, that's not that bad, because like in Final Fantasy, like Seth was down like half a box worth in many of the boxes. So yeah, it's so much money. It's so much money. I buy one collector booster box to open on YouTube every set, but it's rough. So I'm always like, please, just, oh god, just make it less. But yeah. Anyway, let's go raid somebody again, and I'll be back tonight to do the rares and mythics, and then tomorrow we'll be doing the early access. And yeah, you lost 25% on your Lauren. Yeah, that's actually still, like I said, not that bad. Oftentimes people are losing like 40% on these boxes. Yeah. So, oof. But yeah, so I'll be back later on to do... Is it raining? No, it's not raining. Okay, sorry. I thought I heard like... Okay. Yeah, you gotta go to an LGS soon. This is a really great set. So hopefully I'll find you can an LGS and look for the pre-release and go from there. They do have the themed booster box, like the boxes of pre-release boxes. You can find them the list online if you're interested, and what they contain, including the seeded booster pack, which just means that they're going to provide you a set of cards that are from that college in one of the packs. So it is a thing. But yeah, so I'll be back for that, and then we will go from there, and I will hope to see you again. And again, the more set reviews you look at... Hey, Mad Moses, welcome! The more set your reviews you look at, the better informed you'll be, because people will see different synergies and have different ideas about rankings of different cards because they see different ways the cards will interact, etc. So no, don't even worry, Mad Moses. We're going to be rating somebody cool. Yeah. So again, that's the main thing is watch as many of these as you can. Don't just get one perspective. And yeah, have fun. So Demonic Tutors is on right now, that's Amy's cousin, Ed. And Jim Davis is doing a set review, but I don't think currently doing the set review. I think doing something else. Actually, no, it looks like Jim Davis is doing some sort of draft. Oh, building the decks. Building the decks. That's what... Okay, it looks like building a standard deck using some of the Strixhaven cards. So that's some cool stuff. So we have multiple options. See you in early access, Mad Moses. So we have multiple options. We can go to Jim Davis, who's doing constructed practice, building the decks so that he can play them during the early access. We could also go to Meta Magic Mage, who's doing birthday cube drafts, which is awesome. Or we can do Demonic Tutors, again, Amy's cousin, who is an amazing constructed player doing the Modern Challenge on MTGO. And then who else do I recognize? There's Ali Eldrazi, who's doing Cube. There's Caleb D, who's doing Cube as well. Does anybody have any preference? We're happy to raid any of those. But we can go with whoever the first person says to do. Or I can make an executive decision. That's also possible. If nobody has any, like, really strong feelings. The lowest current views is Meta Magic Mage. The birthday boy. Alright, we'll do Meta. Okay. Let's be sure to wish a happy birthday. And then, of course, if you don't feel like sticking around and you want to go somewhere else, no worries. That's totally cool. And if you don't want to go there in the first place, no worries. That's totally cool. But I will hope to see you again for the rares and mythics when we go through this, and I will hope to see you during the early access. But remember, I may not be on at 1 p.m. Eastern / 10 a.m. Pacific, but your favorite streamers will be on. Like, they'll have, like, I'm sure, like, Amy and Numa and the others will be on, so that'll be super sweet. Among many, many, many others. So enjoy yourself, even if I'm not on right away. If I am on right away, I do not expect to compete with the likes of them. But I'll probably be on more toward my regular time so that I can see the regulars and enjoy all the stuffs. Just because it'll be hard to adjust the schedule at that point. So, anyway, have so much fun. Check out the sponsor to get a chance. Magic Jank, Fractal, and Rogue. Super amazing. And then also we have, if you missed a moment of the review and you want to go look through and see particular cards, how I rated them and what synergies I noted and what parallels to past cards we talked about, the YouTube channel will have all of that, as well as box openings and edited drafts and arena directs and opens. So if you like it, consider subscribing. It's free and it helps the straight thing. Okay, yeah. Anyway, love you. Mwah! Here we go. We're going to raid now.